This world just hates me. In the city, everything went on as usual, and everything was calm, as always. The children walked with their parents and talked about all sorts of things. Until he appeared, the man everyone hated. Children were forbidden to even look in his direction, and talking to him was considered a real disgrace. The mere sight of it made people sick. And all because of his occupation, from which the nickname came. A collector of corpses. He heard this every day and had even gotten used to it. As usual, he headed to the building where items could be sold. As soon as the shop owner saw him, his face immediately changed. He asked why he came here again. People left almost immediately, not wanting to be near him. He poured claws and some feathers onto the table. The old man looked and, as usual, there was only trash there, nothing valuable. For this, he gave him 3 bronze coins and told him to get lost. The corpse collector tried to object, as it wasn't even half the usual price. But he was quickly made to understand that he deserved no more. The main danger in this world is monsters. However, there are also those who hunt these monsters, adventurers. High-ranking adventurers mine expensive materials and fight monsters every day. And they increase the level, and even a slight difference in it gives a huge difference in strength. The level is the basis of this world, and he only had his first one. Our main character's name was Ark, and he was considered a scum in this world. Ark, as always, came to the market to buy food, and he went to his grandfather, from whom he always takes bread. Every day he left him a little bread that he hadn't managed to sell and simply gave away. Ark didn't even think about complaining, because without his grandfather, he wouldn't have survived at all. Before leaving, he asked him if maybe it was time for him to quit his job as an adventurer. Perhaps he can find another calling. But Ark said he couldn't do that because he was a notorious corpse collector. He always dreamed of becoming an adventurer to protect people. But when he learned about his curse, all his dreams immediately collapsed. His skill, or rather curse, was called zero experience. No matter how hard he tried and killed monsters, his level did not increase. Will he never be able to become stronger? However, he did not give up and continued hunting. And he believed that someday his level would definitely increase. But time passed and nothing changed, and Ark lost all hope. And then he came up with an idea of how he could earn a living. He began collecting materials from the corpses of monsters, who were killed by more powerful adventurers. And that's when he became a corpse collector. Materials from first-tier monsters are very cheap. You need to look for better monsters. He won't be able to live long by collecting small change, so he constantly thinks about how to make money. Lost in thought, he didn't even notice how he crashed into a group of adventurers. He tried to apologize, but they just pushed him away. And then they stepped on the bread, which was all his food for the day. The leader of this group was called Jarg. He always bullied Ark the most. Ark watched them stand over him and laugh and could do nothing. Everyone knew him as a corpse collector, and because of this he couldn't find a job. So why is all this happening to him? He was just following his dream. But no matter how much they despise him, he will not stop doing this. Otherwise he will simply die of hunger. Every time he went to the cave he hoped to find something valuable, but this time he smelled a strong stench. Apparently something has rotted badly and for a very long time. And he was not mistaken. Going further he saw the corpse of a dragon. It looks like he was around level 200. But now it didn't really matter. He just needed to gather materials. It's a shame that many of the expensive parts are missing. But at least the rotten bag remains. It was usually left alone because of the smell, but that didn't matter to Ark. Suddenly he noticed that there was something inside this bag. But what could possibly be inside it? Without thinking, he took the knife and cut it open to get the contents out. Inside he saw something strange, and at first he didn't even understand what it was. But when he opened the bag more deeply, he realized that it was real armor. The next moment, a strange force began to emerge from the armor. Ark was very scared because he wouldn't be able to cope with something strong. Suddenly he heard a voice. The armor itself was asking him to put it on. But it was very dangerous, and Ark did not dare. Instead, he began to quickly run away from that place, but he stopped almost immediately. After all, there was a whole crowd of goblins in front of him. Now Ark had no idea what to do or how to survive in this situation. Where did such a crowd come from here anyway? Apparently he was too inattentive, which is why he let them get too close. The goblins were the same level as Ark, but he didn't have good equipment. Therefore, it will not be difficult for the goblins to kill him. The first goblin immediately knocked the sword out of his hands. Ark stepped back, trying to think of something. Is he really going to die like this? He will die without having achieved anything in this life. Then he again heard the voice of the armor, which persuaded him to put it on. Ark hesitated for a moment, but when the goblins came close, he realized that he had nothing left to lose. No matter how afraid he was to take the armor, it couldn't get any worse than it already was. So he rushed towards the rotten bag. After looking at the armor again, he made up his mind and took it. Surprisingly, they immediately put it on themselves. The donning of the armor was completed. It was the armor of the abyss, and as it turned out, they were on his side. The voice said that it would obey Ark without question. Along with the armor, he also received a new blade. which was much better than the previous one. And now he was able to kill the first goblin. After the murder, some kind of glow appeared and began to fly towards Ark. But he had no time to think, because more goblins were approaching. After killing them, he saw this glow again. The goblins continued to advance, and Ark was getting better at dealing with them. His body became somehow very light and strong. He stopped for a moment to think about what was happening to him. And at this time, an incomprehensible light continued to fill him. Hen felt himself getting stronger. And finally, he saw the coveted inscription about leveling up. He stood there for a while, trying to take it all in. Leveling up, he had been going after this almost his whole life. But how is this possible? He can't get experience points because of the curse. Then the voice of the armor explained everything to him. Thanks to them, he got a new skill, level absorption. It seems that Ark has figured it out now. He still doesn't get any experience points. Instead, it absorbs the level of its enemies. He couldn't believe it. Finally, he was able to become stronger. He was so happy that he could not hold back his tears. He understood this before, but it seems like it's become even faster now. He was able to gain as many as 5 levels. Now, thanks to the armor, he will be able to fulfill his dream. Suddenly he smelled that terrible smell again. But in fact, it didn't matter. After all, thanks to this dragon, he was able to increase his level. Suddenly he realized that if he defeated everyone in this cave, he would become even stronger. They probably won't be able to hurt him thanks to the armor, if he uses it to the maximum. Suddenly he saw a huge shadow. At first he didn't understand what it was, but turning around I saw him. To say that he was scared is to say nothing. He saw a huge goblin king. Most likely he was the boss, the owner of this cave. Ark didn't understand what such a huge and powerful monster was doing here. Then he looked back and seemed to understand everything. All the monsters were attracted by the smell of the rotting dragon corpse. But what should he do in such a situation? Will he be able to defeat the Goblin King? While he was thinking about this, the monster attacked first. Ark managed to dodge, but the second blow still hit him, so hard that he flew into the wall, and the monster began to slowly approach him. And when he was already standing in front of him, Ark thought that his end had come. But he immediately threw these thoughts out of his head. As long as there was at least some opportunity, he would never give up. His only option was to escape, and he had to escape as quickly as possible, because his life was on the line. With great difficulty, fighting dizziness and extreme fatigue, he still managed to escape. And how can he get out of here now? His only exit is blocked by goblins. He understood that even if he could run out, they would definitely catch up with him and kill him. He was still too weak, and decided he could just wait until they left. But then a goblin ran out at him. But he wasn't a danger to Ark, so he simply grabbed him by the head, after which he killed him by hitting him against the cave wall. The goblin began to disintegrate, leaving only a glow in his wake. Ark was a little angry, so at first he didn't even understand anything. But when he saw that his level had increased again, he realized everything. He hadn't been able to level up for so long that he had completely forgotten, which becomes stronger and stronger each time. Now he must kill to survive and prove his right to exist. After some time, he was destroying goblins with all his might. His movements became faster and more precise. The difference in their levels became greater and greater, and it became easier to kill them now they no longer seemed so scary. Even 3 goblins at once were no longer a hindrance. He quickly moved between them and killed them quickly. For each of them, Ark received 1 level. In this world, only the strongest win. Only those with a high level can survive, and the weak are immediately eliminated. He once again understood one truth: the weak will always submit to the strong. He continued walking through the cave in search of goblins to become even stronger. Now he was already level 15. His strength had increased so much that the goblins could not withstand even a weak blow. Suddenly he saw torches illuminating a tunnel and some kind of passage. He looked in to see if there was anything interesting there. And he was right. There was a whole bunch of gold coins, bracelets, and precious stones. It was the goblins' treasury, containing everything they had ever stolen from people. Ark decided to see if there was anything there he could use. He carefully examined each box, and his eye was caught by a box that seemed to be what he needed. Inside, he saw a huge amount of healing potions. The voice of the armor confirmed that it was definitely them, and Ark, without wasting a second, decided to take them, but where to put them. The voice suggested that there was a special space in the armor for potions. Ark was a little surprised by this. Looking down, he saw that it was indeed there, a barely noticeable panel that opened when pressed. Now all the potions were stored there. It was quite a useful thing. In battles, the potions would help him more than once, saving him from fatal wounds and allowing him to continue fighting. Ark continued to look around, carefully checking every corner of the cave, but found nothing interesting. He really wanted to take some gold, but he realized that the weight of the treasure would greatly hinder him in battle. His main goal at the moment is to return to the city alive. He was about to leave when he heard a voice, very quiet, but at the same time clear. It wasn't really a voice, more of a mooing sound, as if someone was trying to call him. He immediately understood everything and rushed towards where the sound was coming from, completely forgetting what he had originally planned to do. In the corner, behind a pile of stones, sat a girl, as he thought. Most likely she was kidnapped by goblins. She was very scared and cried, but when she saw Ark, hope appeared in her eyes. She was very lucky that Ark noticed her, otherwise she would have just sat there. She was very happy and thanked Ark for saving her. Afterwards, she told her name was Mill, and asked the name of her savior. When she heard the name Ark, she didn't believe it at first, and was speechless for a moment. Breaking the silence, he asked her if she was familiar with the nickname Corpse Collector. Mill apologized and said that she had heard a lot of rumors about him, and that people in the city were saying a lot of things about him. However, it is completely different from the rumors. Mill said this with great surprise. Ark was very surprised when he heard this. He was used to everyone avoiding him, but in her opinion, he didn't look like a corpse collector at all. For her, he was a real hero. Ark heard this for the first time. He always dreamed of being an adventurer who saves people. He told Mill to get up and follow him. Now he was going to take her back to the village so that nothing happened to her on the way. For the first time in his life, Ark was truly happy, because he was finally able to help someone. As he walked through the cave, he heard goblins and told Mill to hide behind the rocks. He felt the monsters approaching and didn't want anything to happen to Mill. And indeed, quite a few of them came. Or to be more precise, there were far more than Ark had expected. So many more that it was difficult to count them. At first glance, there were about 20 of them, but Ark could not name the exact number. But they were only level 1, and Ark was already level 15, and it was this thought that gave him confidence. Therefore, now it will not be difficult for him to deal with even such a crowd. It will not be a battle, but a quick clearing of the cave. Very soon they will become his level. Every killed goblin will make him stronger. Ark cut down most of the monsters in a second. Most of the goblins didn't even have time to realize what had happened. Now they couldn't do anything to him. The goblins tried to retreat, but Ark caught up with them. After killing all the goblins, Ark began to absorb a huge number of levels. Thanks to this, he attacked faster and faster. His strikes became more accurate. He read his opponent's movements much better. The goblins continued to advance, but Ark easily dodged them, feeling how light his body became, after which he immediately attacked. The level continued to rise, and Ark liked it more and more. With each goblin he killed, he felt himself becoming stronger. After some time, all the goblins were killed. Ark finally reached level 35. Mill asked if she could go out, but Ark told her to wait a little longer. Mill, frightened, hid back. So as not to accidentally scream, she covered her mouth with her hands. Ark had already killed all the goblins, and finally he, the master of this cave, appeared. Ark looked at him and waited for the battle to begin. His mind was clear. He was not worried about anything. It seemed the Goblin Lord was more than determined to win. He was the same level as Ark. Ark was no longer the weakling who had escaped last time all the battles with the goblins had hardened his body. Now the Goblin Lord wouldn't be able to defeat him so easily. Ark felt that he was much stronger than him. Ark landed the first blow without any problems. The movement was faster and more precise than ever. It was so fast that the boss didn't even have time to react, and bewilderment was visible in his eyes. The gazes of the goblins who came again were directed at Ark, their eyes filled with anger. He quickly looked around. There were about 10 goblins, and they spread out across the cave, trying to encircle Ark. While the boss was alive, I didn't want to be distracted by trifles, and I had to act very quickly. He shouted at Mill to throw him the knives, with which he was going to kill the small goblins. She took everything and threw it to Ark. She really wanted to help and was afraid to miss. But in flight, the knives began to fly in all directions. Mill was very scared and immediately apologized, because she was afraid that this would disturb Ark. But Ark replied that everything was fine and asked her to hide. He easily caught 2 knives, after which he threw them with all his might at the goblins. They sank into the monsters' bodies, leaving no chance of survival. Then he caught 2 more knives. They didn't fly as comfortably, but he still managed. He threw them at the goblins again. This continued until the knives ran out, each throw being deadly for the goblins. The goblins were very unlucky that they decided to interfere with Ark. They wanted to surround him, but in the end they were all killed. Their desire to help the boss only made the situation worse, because instead of protecting the Lord, they attacked Ark. And now he was already at level 45. The Goblin Lord attacked him from behind, but Ark reacted easily, having predicted the blow. But when the boss started to strike several times in a row, Ark even got scared. The blows were too strong, but his level was higher than the boss's. Suddenly the armor started saying that this monster had a bracelet that increased its stats. Now Ark understood everything. Usually it is not so easy to raise the level. Therefore, to become stronger, adventurers equip items that increase stats. But he didn't think that monsters were capable of this too. In this case, the goal is clear. You need to destroy the bracelet and then deal with the ruler. Ark waited for the moment to dodge the attack first. Afterwards, he stepped aside. There he saw knives and he came up with a plan. He took 2 knives and rushed at the boss. He threw them to distract the ruler. And then he moved closer to strike. Ark appeared behind him, but his target was not the boss himself. And the bracelet on his hand, if broken, the ruler will be significantly weakened. The bracelet was cut. Now it was time to deal with the boss. There will be no more surprises. Ark looked at the Lord. Then at the entrance Ark met him, being the weakest. But now he is much stronger than him. Now he must run in fear. If of course he succeeds, which is very unlikely. The Lord became angry and began to slowly approach Ark. But Ark was faster and struck first. The goblin, of course, managed to reflect it. But the blow was so strong that he was simply thrown to the other end of the cave. Ark slowly approached, enjoying his superiority. After all, now the life of the monster is at stake, and not Ark himself. The next moment he knocked the weapon out of his hands. If he overcomes it, his whole life will change. He will finally get rid of his weakness. The disarmed boss tried to punch Ark, but it was already useless. Thanks to him, Ark became even stronger, so we can thank him for that. Ark began to absorb the boss's level, and now he was level 80. Afterwards, he told Mill that it was time to go out. She watched and couldn't believe that he had defeated the Goblin Lord. And then she said that now he is the strongest adventurer in this place. Ark didn't pay any attention to it at first. He began to carve trophies. From the boss, he obtained a large tusk of the Goblin Lord. He couldn't even imagine that he would ever obtain such a rare material. Mill said that she could carry everything herself. Besides the fang, he also took out the cursed bone. He thanked Mila for helping him with the materials. It wasn't difficult for her, because he saved her life. Now Ark began to think about what to do next. He decided that he could simply return to the village, but Mill thought otherwise. If we leave things like this, the goblins will appear again and may kidnap the girls from the village. He asked her to walk with him a little longer. He couldn't allow any more girls to be kidnapped. He decided to destroy all the goblins in this cave. He returned to the village already at level 100, but he left when he was only 1 year old. At level 100, he will be able to defeat most of the monsters in the area. But most of all, he was glad that he had finally become a real adventurer. Mill asked again what he had just said. She had never heard of adventurers with a triple-digit level. So Ark is clearly no longer a newbie, and the strongest adventurer. After some thought, Ark admitted it. In fact, he had never met adventurers with such a high level. He told Mill that he could absorb the levels of defeated enemies. She was amazed, because with such strength he could become even stronger. She said she would keep her fingers crossed for him. Suddenly their conversation was interrupted. It was Jarg and his team. As soon as Ark saw him, his expression immediately changed. Jarg asked where he got such armor. Did you really decide to rely on equipment since you can't level up? Jarg said that even with the best armor, Ark would still be trash, and no equipment will help with such a difference in levels. The next second, Ark held a knife to Jarg's throat, after which he asked him to shut up. Jarg was stunned by Ark's behavior. After all, he never responded to insults. Jarg took out his sword to show Ark who was stronger, but nothing came of it. Ark easily knocked the sword out of his hands and Jarg ended up on the ground. His friends tried to say something, but when Ark turned around they immediately fell silent. Jarg didn't understand how this was possible, since he was level 20. How could he lose to Ark, who was only level 1? Hearing this, Ark laughed. Now Jarg was 5 times weaker than him. Jarg's friend told him to check Ark's level. At first he didn't pay any attention to it, and then I saw the number 100 and was speechless. At first he thought it was some kind of mistake, but if it was true, that Ark is a real monster. Ark is already a little tired. First a corpse collector, now a monster, but he was just an ordinary adventurer. But suddenly he noticed that Jarga had already disappeared without a trace, just like his friends. Mill was glad that Ark finally stood up for himself. It seems she was happier about this than Ark himself. After that, she decided that she needed to tell everyone about his new abilities. Ark went into the shop to sell materials. The old man was already dissatisfied and did not even greet Ark. He ignored this and said that he wanted to sell the materials. He didn't want to see the pathetic corpse collector at all. That's why he said that if it was just another piece of trash, then he shouldn't waste his time. After his words, Ark smiled and asked if it was all garbage. Having seen all the materials, the old man's face changed. What struck him most was the Goblin Lord's fang. He looked at it for a long time, thinking that it was a fake. Ark said he was able to defeat him, but the old man did not want to take his word for it. Then Ark asked Mill and she confirmed everything. After which she poured out many more precious materials onto the table, and Ark asked again whether he would buy it or not. And the old man of course agreed. How could he refuse such rare items? Ark smiled and said that he hoped for a fair assessment of his work. Immediately after he went to the market, the grandfather selling bread was glad to see him. Ark handed him a bag of gold coins. Grandfather was amazed at where Ark got so much money. He said that he was finally able to defeat the strong monster, and so I decided to share some of the money with him. Grandfather rushed to hug Ark. He was incredibly happy for him. Suddenly, Ark heard a scream. People gathered near the entrance to the village. Ark asked his grandfather to wait for him and look after Mill. When he ran there, he saw a broken fence, and also a pack of huge wolves. One of them had already attacked the girl, but Ark arrived in time and saved her. The girl was saved and thanked Ark. Afterwards, he looked at the wolves and saw where they came from. But however, it didn't matter now. They shouldn't have come here. After all, they won't get past the entrance. There were quite a lot of werewolves. If they get into the village, it will end very badly. People asked to call the Jarga group quickly, but they had gone somewhere. So Ark decided to take responsibility. They were only level 8, so they didn't pose any danger. But it was only for him. He must not forget about ordinary citizens, for whom werewolves pose a huge danger. If he doesn't do anything, they'll all just be killed. So he started killing them, while making sure the residents were safe. People thanked him, but they were amazed that they were being saved by a corpse collector. But Ark didn't care. Now saving the village was more important. Even though they call him a corpse collector, it's not that important at the moment. He can't leave them to die. Ark ran around the village and killed the monsters that managed to enter the village. Fortunately, they were killed in one blow. Ark's level also grew and was already 172nd. Suddenly, Ark realized that something was wrong. There were 10 monsters, which means there should have been 80 more levels. And since something doesn't add up, that means the last monster is now in the village. Ark was very scared and immediately rushed to look for him. At that time, the werewolf was sitting on the roof and was about to attack the girl. Ark noticed him, but it seemed it was too late. The werewolf had already jumped, and Ark wouldn't have had time to reach him. Is it really true that even with such a level he can't save everyone? Various scenarios ran through his head. He couldn't allow the girl to die, and it seems that the only plausible idea came to him. He had to throw the sword. He only had one chance. Better to do it than to regret later. Ark swung his sword and threw it at the werewolf with all his might. It seemed that at that moment even time slowed down. But the sword still hits the werewolf, and the girl remains unharmed. The sword was thrown with such force that the werewolf was pinned to the wall. Ark slowly approached the girl. She looked up and recognized him as the corpse collector. She thanked him for saving her. Seeing her happy face, Ark forgot about all the grievances. He was very glad that he managed to save her after all. And now something else awaited him. People had already gathered around him. All those who had been avoiding him and pointing fingers. One of them said that they had something to talk to him about. Ark had expected them not to be pleased with being saved by a corpse collector. The man came closer to him. Ark said that he already understood everything and just started to leave. But suddenly he was stopped, and he heard all the residents thank him. Everyone took turns thanking him. It was only thanks to him that they were all alive now. Ark never expected this. These were the first kind words addressed to him. Suddenly the mother of the girl he saved came up to him. She thanked him again for saving her child, after which she burst into tears and bowed her head. Ark felt very awkward and asked her to get up. He said he just wanted to help them. He used to loot corpses, and that won't change. But now everything may change. Now he had the power to help others. Now he will become an adventurer who will help people. After that, he went back to his grandfather. The next day, everything was as usual. People went about their business. Mill saw Ark and ran up to greet him. She ran closer and shouted good morning to him. Then she asked where his armor was. He said they were still on him. Then he snapped his fingers. And indeed, the armor appeared. He noticed this feature only in the morning. It was really cool. Thanks to this armor, he became a real adventurer. But the question remained, what was the dragon's corpse doing in this cave? Although, what does it matter now? At this time, the following adventurers came to the same cave. It was Jarg and his team. They were running away from someone very quickly. Jarg couldn't understand what such a monster was doing here. In the darkness, only a huge eye was visible, which suddenly began to spew lightning. Jarg was so exhausted that he could not move. Suddenly, Ark felt something. Jarg and his team ran after a very ordinary Cyclops. They almost finished him off. All that was left was to catch up. Among his friends, Jarg was the strongest. The monster began to run into the cave. The team stopped briefly in front of the cave. Because werewolves attacked the village yesterday and Jarg's team was not there, they were fined. Therefore, under no circumstances could the prey be lost. At this time, the Cyclops was slowly walking through the cave. He smelled an enticing scent and followed it. And he went out to the place where the dragon's corpse lay. Jarg's team was already in the cave, but as they went further, they smelled a terrible smell. But they couldn't stop and continued walking. When they reached the corpse, they saw it being devoured by the same Cyclops. Ark was already heading towards the cave. As he thought, it was not just a strange feeling. He felt someone unusual. It seems like he has some connection to this place. Suddenly, as he came closer, he froze. What was the matter? As we moved towards the center of the cave, the smell continued to intensify. And when he reached the corpse, he saw a terrible picture. A huge Cyclops held the body of a member of Jarg's team. After that, he turned his gaze to Ark. and he simply threw the body against the wall like a toy. Now all the monster's attention was on Ark. His aura was terrifying. Ark had never encountered such demons before. But now he was level 180, in which case he simply couldn't lose. You need to attack before the monster makes its first move. But the armor began to sound the alarm about too big a difference in level. Because of this, Ark was distracted and missed the blow. The force was incredible, so much so that Ark was thrown to the other end of the cave. He didn't understand how this was possible. He decided to check the status of his enemy. And at first I didn't even believe what I saw. This Cyclops was level 200. Where did he come from? The armor warned of a powerful energy accumulation in the head area. And they recommended an immediate retreat. But Ark had no strength left. The armor continued to sound the alarm, but Ark could do nothing. He tried to get up, but it was all in vain. If he doesn't do anything, he'll just die. And he seems almost resigned to his end. Is he really going to die like this? Ark tried his best, but nothing worked. The Cyclops struck. It was a powerful beam that destroyed everything in its path. He hooked Ark, and he felt like he was about to lose consciousness. Cyclops stood for a while and looked at Ark's body. I think he is still alive. But after, considering him dead, he headed towards the exit. Suddenly Ark woke up. It was a real miracle. Still, at the last moment he managed to dodge, and this saved him. Cyclops was definitely wrong in thinking Ark was dead, even though he was very close to death. The armor said that Ark was seriously injured and recommended using potions for healing. Ark didn't understand at first, but then he remembered that he found them in the goblin's lair. After drinking it, although he was not completely healed, it definitely became easier to move. Now he needed to catch up with the monster before it reached the village. Ark was sure that the Cyclops would go in this direction. Suddenly, someone called out to him and Ark immediately recognized that voice. He turned to make sure. It was Zharg. His body was pierced through and through. Everything was covered in blood. He said that he saw the potions in his possession and ordered Ark to give them to him. After all, for someone like him, this is too valuable an item. Zharg planned to heal and escape as quickly as possible. Ark was in no hurry to answer him, and this made Zharg angry. Having calmed down a little, Zharg began to beg him, because the pain was simply unbearable. Ark asked the armor if his potions could heal such wounds, and they answered no, there were too many mortal wounds. The chance of survival when using potions was 0. Zharg will die in a few minutes from blood loss. Hearing this, he asked him the following question. Does the skill of absorbing levels work on people? The answer was positive. Ark told Zharg that he couldn't help him in any way, but he himself already understood this. Zharg just wanted this pain to finally end. Ark said he had one way to put him out of his misery. Zharg wasn't stupid and understood everything, so he asked Ark to do it quickly. He asked to kill him as soon as possible. Ark admitted that he had hated him with all his heart all this time. However, now he will be greatly missed. After his words, he decapitated Zharg with one swift movement. At this time, the Cyclops was walking through the forest towards the village, and it seems I have almost reached it. He was glad about this, but now someone has come who wants to stop him. It was Ark. After killing Zharg, he equalized his level with the Cyclops. Ark was determined to kill him. A battle began between them, and at first Ark was constantly on the offensive. He gave the monster advice to always finish off his enemies, and since he didn't do it, now he will have to die. Ark pointed his sword at him and said that the battle continued, and also warned that he should be more careful. Even though he hated Zharg, he had to kill his friend, and now he is very angry. The monster also began to attack. Ark easily parried the attacks and struck back. Ark tried to cut his wings several times, but he never managed to do it. They turned out to be much stronger than he thought. After this, the monster again began its attack with a beam from its eye. Ark couldn't let him shoot anymore, but at the last moment the monster seemed to change his mind. Ark didn't have time to react and missed the blow. After this, the monster tore a tree out of the ground and threw it at Ark. Ark again failed to dodge and flew back several meters. He found himself pressed against the wall again. Their levels were the same, but why couldn't he defeat him? This Cyclops was a real problem. But Ark didn't lose his spirit. He wasn't finished yet. The armor detected a huge accumulation of energy in the head area, which means there will be an impact soon. Ark was thinking about what to do this time. He dodged the beam and was about to strike. He put all his strength into this blow, and finally I was able to cut his wings. The Cyclops screamed in pain and tried to fly away. Ark had finally managed to wound him. All that was left was to finish him off, but the Cyclops suddenly froze, staring at the village. Ark understood everything, but it was too late. The monster strained all the muscles in his legs to make the jump, and after that he jumped towards the village. He was going to kill all the villagers to restore his strength. Ark needs to return to the village as soon as possible. Now she was in mortal danger. Residents saw something huge in the sky and tried to understand what was approaching them. And while they were thinking, the Cyclops had already fallen into the center of the village. But Ark was already in the village too. He shouted for everyone to run away right now, otherwise they would all die. The monster began to destroy houses, trying to pull people out of them. Residents fled their homes in fear. And then the Cyclops was about to attack again from his eye. Ark was fed up with this and tried to stop him. But the Cyclops attacked, and all the houses in the beam's path were destroyed. Ark was able to dodge and was behind the monster, after which he rushed towards him, but it seemed that it was all in vain. Ark was unable to injure him, and the monster simply decided to run on. But Ark did not give up and continued to attack. Despite the same level, the difference in strength was too great. Ark hoped that the monster would simply give up, but he attacked very suddenly. Ark couldn't have expected this. Even his armor didn't warn him. And immediately after one attack, while Ark was in the air, a second one followed. Ark found himself pressed into the ground, and the Cyclops simply ran on. Ark tried to find the strength to stand up. He wasn't finished yet and wanted to continue the fight. After all, only he can defeat such a strong monster. That's why he will never give up. Meanwhile, the monster reached the grandfather, but there was no reaction from that. Apparently, he was already prepared for his death. Their village was very small, but no matter how hard they try, they won't be able to escape. In this case, there is only one way out. All he can do is buy time for the hero. And it seems he succeeded. The hero came at the right time. Ark said that a ragamuffin like him couldn't be a hero. But Grandfather thought differently. Ark didn't know how to defeat the Cyclops. Grandpa said that Ark thinks too much, and all these thoughts hinder him in battle. After that, he threw Ark a loaf of bread. It was the same bread that Ark ate as a corpse collector. Grandpa asked if it was any different from the days when he was begging on the streets. Ark took a bite of bread. He was as terrible as always. But thanks to this, he was finally able to collect his thoughts. Now he was in a mood like never before. The battle continues. Ark rushed towards the Cyclops at full speed. He struck blow after blow, but the monster parried each attack. But at some point, Ark missed the first blow. His mood began to fade little by little. He couldn't imagine how to defeat such a strong monster. But suddenly he turned and saw him. The little boy, why didn't he run away with the others? Ark shouted at him to run away as quickly as possible. But he was so scared that his legs wouldn't move, and the Cyclops was already aimed at him. He jumped to get closer. Landing right in front of the boy, he began to intimidate him. And then he swung to strike. The boy thought he was about to die, but Ark couldn't let that happen. He managed to take the blow himself. The impact was so strong that the wall behind Ark crumbled. He became really ill. He told the boy to run away, but he didn't want to leave Ark. The monster was already preparing to attack again, but Ark had no strength left. He asked the child to run away again, and he, to Ark's surprise, listened to him. The boy ran as fast as he could, and Ark was in mortal danger. But he was glad that he was able to save at least someone. He stopped trying to change anything. It seems his death was predetermined, and he didn't resist at all. It looks like this is the time when he can't get out of this anymore. The beam hit Ark's sword and he survived, but the blow was too strong. Ark no longer believed that he could do anything. Suddenly he remembered about the potions, but the next moment he realized that he didn't have them. He lost his last potion when he hit. He tried to reach out, but he had no strength left. The next moment he found himself in some strange place. If he really died, then the village has already been destroyed. But it turned out he simply lost consciousness. A little girl sat above him and gave him a potion to drink. She was very glad that he finally woke up. When Aru sat down, she introduced herself. Her name was Lyra. She was born in this village, so she also wanted to protect it. Ark tried to get up. He needed to get back into the fight as soon as possible. Lyra sat next to him and said that she had been watching his fight. She saw him fight for this village, and all the residents are very grateful to him for this. After that, she stood up, extended her hand to him, and said that they needed to run. Ark replied that he couldn't. He was the only one who could defeat the monster. But Lyra said that was the reason. If Ark suddenly loses, then everything will be in vain. Nothing can save the village anymore. Therefore, he needs to avoid meeting this monster, until his wounds heal. Ark's whole body ached with pain. Apparently he needed to rest a little more. But at that moment the Cyclops returned. Lyra extended her hand to him and told him to run. He thought for a moment, but still agreed. Lyra told him to run after her. She knew many passages through which one could escape. While they were running, he asked how she knew his name. She replied that he was very popular in this village. He asked if it was all because of the nickname Corpse Collector. She said that too, but she thinks she's the real hero. When the village was attacked by werewolves, she was there too. Ark promised her that he would definitely kill the monster and save the village. Suddenly they heard screams very close by. Running around the corner, he saw a man dragging a girl by the hair. They were in a great hurry, because the monster would get here very soon. The man understood that even if they openly kidnapped people, no one would stop them as long as the Cyclops was roaming the village. He wanted to make a lot of money by selling this girl. All this was very untimely. Ark did not want to waste time on the bandits, but he could not leave the girl. They took everything they could carry. Lyra was shocked by how inhuman these creatures were, but Ark was going to deal with them as soon as possible. But as soon as he turned to ask Lyra to wait for him, he saw that she was already in the arms of a huge man. You could see in her eyes how scared she was. He told Ark to drop the weapon if he didn't want her to get hurt. Ark didn't want to do it, but he had no choice. Their conversation attracted the attention of the gang leader. He turned to see what was going on. He said they didn't need men, and then looked at Lyra. He was struck by her beauty. He immediately approached and began to examine her completely. He was confident that he could sell it for a high price. Ark asked how they had the nerve to rob the village in such a situation, but they made it clear to him that they had no business with this village. They originally came here to plunder it, and they were very lucky that they didn't kill everyone. After these words, Ark became very angry, but he was not taken seriously. The leader said that all adventurers are very pathetic. Even with so much power, he won't be able to do anything. Afterwards, they were going to move out of the village, and special attention should be paid to Lyra. After all, they don't want Ark to interfere, the leader said with a grin. Ark waited only 1 second. As soon as the opportunity arises, he will immediately save Lyra. And it seems that this was that very moment. The leader shouted at the man to turn around. Mill was running towards him from behind with a knife in her hands. The man simply walked away and Mill fell to the ground. He said that she couldn't defeat him, but she had no intention of doing so. The man thought about it at first, but when he began to understand, it was already too late. Mill was just bait. At that moment, Ark was already approaching him, and with one powerful blow he threw him back. At last Lyra was safe. The leader was scared and told everyone to kill Ark, but they posed no danger to him. He was so angry that he had no intention of holding back. His words were again not taken seriously, and in vain. They started attacking him, and Ark was in no hurry to dodge. Looking at the man, he said that they could not defeat him, and he will take revenge for the fact that they frightened Lyra. There is too big a difference in level between them. In a matter of seconds, Ark dealt with almost everyone. Only the leader remained, and he could do nothing. Ark said they shouldn't have caught his eye. The leader tried to strike, but failed. Ark cut him in half in an instant. After absorbing the level, he received a message that he had reached the maximum level. Can't he rise above level 250? He didn't even think that there were any limitations. Although, on the other hand, he was still the strongest. The next moment, Lyra threw herself into his arms. She was grateful to him for saving her. He said he would never abandon her in trouble. After all, she herself saved him by giving him the potion. If it weren't for her, the monster would have killed him long ago. Lyra said that he is now her hero. It was very strange for Ark to hear this. He didn't think he deserved such praise, but he still understood. If I had left them alive, they could have destroyed other villages. These thoughts were constantly spinning in his head. He understood that there was no other way out, but he still felt uneasy. But Lyra said that it was not his fault at all. She tried to convey to Ark that he had done everything right. He took the lives of the robbers to save everyone else, so he shouldn't worry about it. Surely, if someone else were in his place, he would have done exactly the same. Ark saved everyone, and that's why Lyra considers him her hero. After her words, Ark actually felt a little better. Then Mill came running and said that all the captured people had safely reached their homes. Ark praised her, and she was very happy to be of service. After all, before, while Ark was fighting, she could only watch and could not help in any way. After that, she said that next time she would fight together with Ark. He immediately replied that this would not happen. He couldn't allow Mill to be in constant danger. Afterwards, he told Mill and Lyra that they'd better hide as soon as possible. The armor told Ark that now, having reached level 250, he would be able to defeat this monster. Ark was determined to put an end to their battle. As soon as he thought about it, the Cyclops was already in front of him. The walls began to collapse from his landing. But Ark stood absolutely calm and didn't even move from his place. Finally, he would be able to finish him off and protect the city. Looking at Lyra and Mill, he ordered them to go to a safe place. They were very scared and didn't even argue with Ark. They ran away, leaving Ark alone with the monster. Ark apologized for running away during their last meeting. But now he intends to fight, not run away. It's time to end this. The monster tried to scare Ark with a scream, but he didn't even look away. Previously, Ark couldn't even wield a sword, because of which his life turned out terrible. And then he swung his sword for the first time to save his life. And now he fights to protect his home and the people close to him. He uses the sword to fulfill all the hopes of his friends. The monster better get ready, because now it will be difficult for him. Now he will experience firsthand the blow of a man who has surpassed human limits. Cyclops tried to strike, but Ark easily parried it. She became much faster and stronger, and now any attacks from this monster are useless. Ark was superior to him in absolutely everything. The only thing the monster had was its beam attack. Ark stood right next to him, and seemed to have no intention of moving away. The armor told him to leave, but Ark was calmer than ever. Now he knew that this monster would not cause him any problems. In this world, everything is decided by level, so the Cyclops has no chance of winning. The next second the monster attacked. Ark continued to stand in place and did not even flinch. Now this attack could not cause any damage to him. He will definitely win, because the difference in their levels is too great. Ark and the Cyclops stood opposite each other, waiting for one to attack first. It felt like their battle was just beginning. But suddenly the Cyclops saw a terrifying aura emanating from Ark. And he even got scared. He had never experienced anything like this in his life. Ark said that he would avenge every person the monster attacked in the city. His victory is predetermined, and there is nothing that can be done about it. In such an unfair world, where level decides everything, everything is quite predictable. The one whose level is higher always defeats the one whose level is lower. These are not just words. This is a law established over centuries. Once on the ground, the Cyclops made pathetic attempts to attack Ark, but it seems he still hasn't realized it. So Ark will explain everything to him. He will show him what real despair is. The Cyclops attacked again and again, but it was all in vain. Apparently, until this moment he didn't realize that he had already lost. This happened back when he simply didn't kill Ark. The difference between them was too huge. Cyclops continued to try to hit Ark, but none of his attacks hit their target. He repeated the same thing several times, hoping that he could at least get a little bit of attention from Ark. But his speed and reflexes were on a completely different level. No matter what the monster does, he will never catch up with Ark. Ark swung his sword just once. One attack from Ark, and the monster had already lost an arm. It's time to end this battle. He was determined to finish everything here and now. The monster began to shoot beams in all directions. But it was no use, the Cyclops lost. Still alive, he found himself on the ground, but could no longer move. He hurt so many people, it's time to pay the bill. Ark thrust his sword into his eye with all his might. This was the last thing the monster saw before his death. After the murder, Ark was unable to absorb the level, as he had already reached the human maximum. The next day the village was already calm. People went about their business as usual, but basically everyone was busy with one thing. Everyone was rebuilding their homes and the homes of their neighbors after the Cyclops attack. Suddenly one of the guys stumbled and started falling from the roof. But Ark came in time and caught him. Everyone who met him thanked him for his help, and this greatly lifted his spirits. Walking towards the forest, he began to think about one problem. After absorbing the Cyclops, he became able to transform levels. What is it? He asked the armor this question, and they answered that in exchange for a level, one can receive unique skills. Unique skills had various positive effects. This is a very nice bonus for adventurers. Since Ark couldn't gain experience points, unique skills weren't available to him either. But now, in exchange for levels, he can get very rare unique skills. He still didn't understand what this abyssal armor of his was. The first thing Ark was advised to do was get the limit break skill. However, its price was 240 levels, almost all that Ark had. If he acquires it, he will lose almost everything. But if you think about it, he simply needs this skill. So without thinking twice, he bought it. To purchase a skill, one had to say the phrase "request for purchase" and the name of the skill that Ark wanted to buy. After that he felt strange. He was alternately hot and cold. And after that he saw how levels began to emerge from him. This glow was so bright that many residents also saw it. And Ark continued to acquire the skill. And after a couple more seconds, he finally received his first unique skill. But he also felt as if his consciousness had expanded. The armor said that this was normal, because in fact, Ark is now a being that is superior to humans. Ark looked up and smiled, something he couldn't even dream of just recently. He has come such a long way from a corpse collector to a hero who saved a village. Suddenly someone new appeared in the village. When the man arrived, he was surprised that the monster had already been destroyed. And apparently he became very angry, and then he wanted to find the adventurer who defeated this demon. Suddenly Ark remembered something. The time he killed the Cyclops, he couldn't absorb its level because of the limit. However, now the level has returned to him again. Even though I spent almost everything on the skill, I can now fight monsters again. He needed to acquire as many unique skills as possible to become stronger. Unique skills were very valuable, but he would be able to obtain them much easier than others. If everything works out, he will become the strongest adventurer in the world. I needed to think through my next plan. Suddenly Lyra came up behind him. She said she had been looking for him everywhere. After yesterday's victory over the monster, she still couldn't find him among the crowds of people. Ark apologized and said that he was helping residents put out the fires. While Ark and Lyra were talking, Mill came to them. She told Ark how worried Lyra was, and Ark was glad that they were okay. And after all, it was his merit. And Lyra was very grateful to him for this. Suddenly, the next moment, she stood on her toes and kissed Ark on the cheek as a sign of gratitude. Ark was very embarrassed, and at first did not even understand what had happened. While he was trying to say something, Lyra quickly told him that she loved him. And immediately after that, without waiting for any reaction, she ran away to the village. Ark couldn't believe what had just happened. Mill herself even felt a little embarrassed. and grandfather said that it seems that spring has finally come to Ark. Ark became very embarrassed, and Mill and his grandfather ran away. And he remained, still not believing that someone had actually fallen in love with him. He couldn't even dream of such a thing before, so what should he do now? The armor also tried to help here and advised him to behave like a man. A few days later, guests arrived in the village. It was an adventurers' guild. Apparently they came here from far away. The city looked like a wasteland, and they thought they were too late. Perhaps this village was attacked by another, more powerful monster. If it had been a fire dragon, there would have been nothing left of the village. To be absolutely sure, it was necessary to find out everything from the local residents. No matter what happens, they must prevent this dragon from attacking. After this, the whole crowd moved towards the cave. There were about 20 of them, some of the most powerful adventurers in the district. After some time, they almost reached the cave, in which, in fact, sat that very dragon. But everything was not so simple. Ark was leveling up as fast as he could and spending it on unique skills. At the moment, he was level 1, but he was still killing monsters. He has acquired many unique skills in recent days. The first was the poison coating. Even though it cost 200 levels, the benefits were simply immeasurable. This skill allows you to apply deadly poison to weapons. The second skill is a sword thrower. With these skills, even though he lost all levels, he will be able to easily defeat monsters while avoiding direct combat. The only downside is that it will take some time before the monster dies. But even at level 1, Ark can easily regain his power. Just at that moment, it so happened that one monster had already been killed. His level reached 41 and Ark decided to immediately spend it on new skills. The next second he had already bought himself a poison boost. Now all poisoned monsters will die even faster. He decided to finish for today, and he did a pretty good job. About 20 monsters should now be poisoned by his knives. In a couple of hours he should be back at level 200. But just as he was about to go back, he met that group of adventurers. He approached them to ask what had happened and why they had come to the village. The leader of their group was Ein. He was the representative of the Adventurers Guild. At first he wanted to invite Ark to join them. However, he changed his mind almost immediately as soon as he saw that Ark was level 1. Immediately everyone else started whispering, but Ark didn't react. After all, such a reaction was entirely expected. Ein said that if Ark wanted to become an adventurer, he could help him. But Ark replied that he had already become one a long time ago. Another man approached Arku and placed his hand on his shoulder, asking why he was still level 1 then. But Ark clearly didn't like this. He didn't really want anyone to start questioning him. Suddenly the man seemed to recognize him. He had heard rumors, but he didn't believe they were true. He called Ark the weakest adventurer in human history. And then he pointed his finger at him and said something that Ark had just gotten rid of. He called him a corpse collector. Ark calmly said that this was true, but would there really be any problems because of this? And froze in place. He clearly didn't expect such an answer. Afterwards, he said that they received a hunting quest from the guild and came here. Recently, many special monsters have been discovered in these lands, and especially the Black Dragon, a powerful level 150 monster. It is impossible to defeat such a monster alone. So he created a group of adventurers with unique skills. They can easily defeat the Black Dragon, and there is no need to worry about it. After that, he extended his hand to Ark and asked him to introduce himself. Without thinking twice, Ark gave his name and asked not to be referred to as a corpse collector. As they shook hands, he thought that he himself could handle this Black Dragon. And then I remembered something. Are they really talking about that dragon that lies in the cave? Suddenly, an assistant came running to Ein with a report. He said that the scouts had discovered the dragon they were looking for. There was no doubt that it was him. However, they did not yet know how this would turn out in the future. Ark stood there all this time and thought. Their group's level was around 120. Even though some of them have unique skills, they will have a hard time against the dragon. He couldn't leave them like this. However, Ein immediately said no, and everyone else also thought that a weakling with a first level would not help them in any way. As Ark began to argue, another adventurer emerged from the crowd. He said the leader had been too soft on him, so he would speak frankly. Ark is weak and has no right to go near them. But at this rate they will all die there. But at his current level, he really can't help them in any way. All he could do was wait for the levels to arrive and then go help them. But when they arrived there, the whole group fell into a trap. No one had warned them about this. They were told that there would be a level 150 Black Dragon. Ein started laughing nervously, thinking it was some kind of joke. It was not a Black Dragon, but a monster of Calamity rank, the ruler of all Black Dragons. The strongest of his kind, the Black Dragon Emperor. Level 300 World Destroyer. Seeing some of his comrades killed, he ordered everyone to retreat immediately. There is no way they can handle him. All they can do is run and save their lives. They needed to urgently request help from the guild, but the Destroyer of Worlds began to attack. With one swing of his tail, he sent Ein flying back several meters. But just at that moment, Ark came running to their aid. This dragon was definitely from that goblin cave. Was he really just pretending to be dead back then? But now was not the time to think about it. The Dragon Emperor began to attack, and his power was not even close to that of the Cyclops. When Ark ran to the dragon, he asked the armor how long it would take for it to absorb levels. There were still 30 seconds left, and Ark accelerated to maximum. Just a little more and the Destroyer of Worlds will attack Ein. Already running up to the monster, the levels were finally obtained. Now Ark was level 201, but it seemed that even that wouldn't help him. Running even closer, he made a purchase request. And right before the Dragon Emperor's attack, he managed to buy fire resistance. If it weren't for this skill, there wouldn't even be bones left of him. Ark asked if anyone else survived besides Ein. He couldn't answer anything. He was shocked that Ark was able to stop the attack of the Destroyer of Worlds. The man from Ein's group was also alive and didn't understand why they were barely holding on, while the corpse collector wasn't even wounded. Ark replied that there was no secret about it. He's simply many times stronger than all of them put together. But even with such power, he could not save everyone. He believed that it was all because of his indecisiveness. Suddenly the man apologized to Ark, after which he died on the spot. After this, Ark became furious. No matter how strong he becomes, he can't save people. For the sake of the adventurers who died here, he will do what he must. Defeat the Destroyer of Worlds here and now. The monster clearly didn't like such a loud statement, and he decided to attack first. After which he began to shoot at Ark again. Ein shouted at him to leave quickly, but Ark asked him not to worry. He would be fine. He stopped the attack without any problems, all thanks to his new skill. But Ark didn't know what to do next. He was able to repel the attack, but how to strike himself. Such a weak flame won't be able to hurt him. The dragon was furious. Ark had really angered him. Fire attacks no longer worked on Ark due to fire resistance, but to get it, he spent almost all of his levels. And how can he win now? It was necessary to raise my level as quickly as possible. While he was thinking about this, the dragon swung to hit Ark. He managed to dodge with great difficulty. The Destroyer of Worlds realized that fire had no effect on Ark, so he began using physical attacks. At this level, he won't be able to resist him. Suddenly, Ark felt something approaching from behind, and his instincts did not fail him. The dragon decided to attack with its tail. When Ark thought he was already dead, the dragon's head quickly fell off. The Destroyer of Worlds lay on the ground, cut in two. When Ark looked up, he saw another adventurer. He was amazed that he managed to defeat the Dragon Emperor with one blow. Ark asked him who he was and what he was doing in this village. He introduced himself. His name was Baldar, and he was the only disaster rank adventurer on the continent. Ark heard about this for the first time and was very surprised. Suddenly Ein came up to him and said that he was also seeing him for the first time. But he knew this man from legends. He possesses incredible power. He stands above all people. No one will ever reach his level. He is the one who is feared even by those who have never seen him in real life. This is what means the rank of disaster. Baldar was surprised that Ein knew so much about him. When Ark looked at his level, everything became clear to him. His unique skill was Limit Break, and his level was 300. It was the complete opposite of Ark's 0 experience skill. Ark asked if he had come to help them. But hearing this, Baldar laughed. He can't stand weak adventurers, and he considered everyone below him in level to be weak. Then he said that because of Ark, all his plans had collapsed. He said that the whole village was talking about Ark, about how he killed the demons single-handedly. He wondered if the rumors were true, but now he is disappointed. Suddenly, the Destroyer of Worlds began to roar, and after that he even raised his severed head. But Baldar quickly calmed him down by piercing him with his sword again. He didn't like the monster interrupting their conversation. After that, he cut it several more times. And after that, he asked if they knew an interesting fact about the Destroyer of Worlds. It will continue to regenerate until its magical core is destroyed. Ark was surprised to hear this. Baldar said that he had already killed him once in a cave with goblins. Ark immediately remembered that it was really he who left his body there. However, Baldar did not destroy the core then, and simply left the dragon in that cave. The monster that ate his flesh quickly changed. He evolved even faster than Baldar could have imagined. The Destroyer of Worlds is too powerful, and would leave nothing of the village. He needed weaker monsters, and the Cyclops was perfect for that. His first step was to unleash a monster on the village and then kill it, making himself look like a hero. And then kill the Destroyer of Worlds again and become stronger. And as a result, he received unlimited power and also became famous throughout the world. Ein couldn't believe that an adventurer could say such a thing. Baldar pointed his finger at Ark and said that he had ruined his entire plan. But Ark didn't care. He was furious that he had allowed the village to be attacked for the sake of fame. Baldar replied that someone like him needed power, fame, and money. Having all this, you can live as you wish. But after all this, Ark called him a real idiot. After all, because of his desires, many residents died. And also good adventurers. Did he even think about it for a second or not? Ark raised his sword and asked the armor to lend him strength. It's time to bring this arrogant bastard down to earth. Baldar was very offended that some weakling had overestimated himself. He had only just raised his sword, but Ein and Ark were already finding it difficult to stand on their feet. Such was Baldar's power. After all, he is level 300. If they start fighting now, Ark's chances are 0. However, he had a plan, and it was contained in the magical core of the Destroyer of Worlds. It is very vulnerable now, and if he destroys it, he will raise his level. Ark asked the armor if he could acquire the ranged attack skill now, but Baldar didn't really want to wait for Ark, and decided to attack first. It happened so quickly and unexpectedly that Ark barely reacted. Baldar told him to fall on his knees and beg for mercy. With great difficulty, Ark managed to dodge. He and Ein were thrown several meters to the side. Ark lay there and couldn't even move. Now he understood exactly what the disaster rank meant. And Baldar didn't even think about ending their battle. He decided to finish off Ark quickly. Ark is in a terrible situation now. Finally, the armor found the right skill and offered to buy it for him. This skill allowed him to throw small grenades, but at first Ark didn't understand how this would help him. Baldar was already approaching, and Ark seemed to understand. He had to use grenades and poisoned knives. Ark slowly rose from the ground and said that he expected more from Baldar. He was surprised that Ark was still standing, and after that I got angry from his words. Ark acquired the small grenade skill by spending the entire level. He took a big risk. If his plan failed, Baldar would kill him. Baldar stood and watched, not understanding what Ark was doing, and he already took out 3 swords. After that, he threw them towards Baldar, saying that now everything would change. Baldar easily dodged them and did not understand the point of this action. He decided that Ark had already given up and was trying to do at least something. But at that moment, Ark shouted that he hadn't been aiming at him at all. When Baldar turned around, it was already too late. The swords were in the dragon and Ark shouted for them to explode. An explosion occurred, which finished off the Destroyer of Worlds. Now he's finished, and Ark will finally be able to fight. The monster's body began to quickly disintegrate, and then the level started pouring out of it. Baldar turned his head, trying to understand what Ark had done and what that glow was. Ark absorbed the level and immediately rushed to attack. Their swords clashed and now the real battle began. Baldar didn't understand how this was possible, since Ark was only level 21. Ark said that was the case until now, but now everything has changed a lot. Now Ark was level 301. It seems that now Baldar finally understood everything. All this time, he was wondering how Ark defeated that monster, and it was all because of his ability. Even though Ark's level was higher, Baldar continued to press him. Ark was losing badly, but what was the matter? Baldar told him not to joke with him. Even if he is 1 level higher, it does not mean that he is stronger. No level can match the combat experience of a Calamity rank adventurer. Immediately after these words, Baldar attacked Ark. All he could do was dodge while thinking of a plan. Suddenly, Ark found himself behind Baldar, but he was able to parry even such an unexpected blow. Their battle began to gain new momentum. Ark didn't care about Baldar's experience. No amount of experience will help such a worthless adventurer. He had no intention of losing. Suddenly, something changed in Baldar, and Ark felt it immediately. He admitted that Ark had pretty good armor, and then he ordered him to shut up and not say anything else. Baldar activated his special skill, Blood God Manifestation. Lightning struck from the sky, giving Baldar even more strength. It was clear from him that he had now become much stronger. Baldar began to attack Ark continuously. This skill was where his true strength lay. Now Ark was in an even more dangerous position. If he doesn't dodge now, he's definitely finished. The Blood God skill was a unique skill that could only be used once. It temporarily doubles the adventurer's strength. Now Baldar was confident of his victory. So, without thinking about anything, he rushed to attack. Suddenly, Ein entered their battle and covered Ark with his shield, after which he flew off several meters to the side. Ein said that if Baldar had dealt with the Destroyer of Worlds right away, his squad would have remained intact. And then, he asked Ark to avenge everyone. Now he was even more determined. He raised his hand and made a purchase request. He was going to buy a skill, the Curse of Black Armor. Baldar tried to stop him but was too late. Curse of Black Armor could only be used once, like Baldar's skill. Its value varied from 1 to infinity. It was also possible to pay extra for any number of levels. Ark decided to do just that. That's why I paid an extra 299 levels. The purchase request was approved and lightning struck the Ark in the same way. Ein looked at all this and couldn't believe his eyes. Ark, whom he had recently considered a weakling, now fights at the level of a Calamity rank adventurer. After the acquisition, Ark was level 1 again. Baldar was furious and tried to find out what he had done. Suddenly he looked at Ark's level and laughed. Now that Ark was level 1, Baldar was 100% confident of his victory. Without thinking about anything, he rushed into the attack. But Ark stood still and had no intention of leaving. He only said that Baldar would never defeat him. after which he activated the curse of black armor. Baldar was enveloped in a dark force and he felt himself beginning to weaken. Curse of black armor, the only skill, which absorbs the opponent's level, proportional to the levels spent. Baldar couldn't believe it and tried to break free, but nothing can help him now. Ark spent 299 levels, and Baldar will take the same amount. And what level will he remain at? Ark asked mockingly. Baldar begged him to stop, but Ark did not listen. He didn't want such a terrible person to live in this world. Now they will both be level 1. After some time, Baldar fell to the ground. He couldn't believe that all his levels were gone. But when I looked, I was even more horrified. As Ark said, Baldar is now level 1. He was so angry that he slowly walked towards Ark. He believed that even with the first level, he could easily defeat Ark. But at this time, Ark had already struck the first blow. He said that not long ago a man called the Corpse Collector lived here. Because of the skill, he couldn't level up. Baldar was exhausted and told Ark to shut up. But Ark continued to attack, telling his story at the same time. The Corpse Collector has been level 1 his entire life. However, now he is invincible. After all that Ark has been through, he knows better than anyone how to fight on the first level. Baldar had already lost his arm, but he did not give up. However, his psyche couldn't take it, and he went crazy. He tried to get up again and again, but it was no use. Ark didn't finish him off, since it was already clear which of them had won. Then Baldar rushed at him from behind. Ark realized that Baldar was no longer able to assess the situation. He turned and parried his blow. Now it was all over. With a few quick movements, he cut Baldar. He couldn't stand it anymore, and it seems he died. Ein ran up to Ark to ask what happened, and after that he thanked him for taking revenge for everyone. But Ark said there was nothing wrong with that. He would never forgive Baldar, so he would defeat him anyway. But suddenly Ark felt that Baldar still hadn't given up. He said that Ark had cut off his hand in vain, because now they would take revenge for him. If he stops being active, it will look suspicious, and they will start looking for him. They will be interested in who was able to defeat Baldar, and the hunt for Ark will begin. And then Ark is dead. Therefore, Ark will definitely face a painful death. Against everyone at once, he will never be able to win. Ark replied that if someone else challenges him, then he will definitely fight with him. Baldar told him to pray so as not to waste all his strength in vain. When Baldar finished speaking, he showed his last trump card. Ein immediately realized that he was going to teleport. Baldar said that he would make him regret not finishing him off right away. By the time Ark ran up to him, it was already too late. But next time he will definitely kill him. Baldar escaped and Ein began to panic. After all, now Baldar will return to them with reinforcements. But Ark convinced him that they would be fine, and that it was time for them to leave. Even if he meets him again, he will definitely overcome him. Now Ein had a problem. He had lost too many of his fighters in this battle, and he needs to report everything to the guild. When Ein was about to leave, Ark stopped him. He asked to listen to him. He had some request. Ein and Ark returned back to the village. Thanks to Ark, everything was calm here, as always. Ein remembered Ark's request, as it turned out. He asked to be taken with him to the city. Ark would very much like to continue helping the people of this village and protecting it, but he attracted the attention of disaster-rank adventurers. Sooner or later, if he stays here, Baldar will find him. But he was more worried about his village, so he decided to leave. Ein understood everything, and of course agreed to take Ark with him. Ein said he would never have thought that he would be killed by the destroyers of worlds before his eyes. Afterwards, he said that he had already notified the guild about it. He also asked a couple of strong adventurers to guard the city of Ark. Ark was incredibly grateful to him. Ark wanted to keep everything a secret, but Mill, standing around the corner, heard everything. When Ark approached the stall where his grandfather was always, the stall was closed. Apparently, today was a day off. Ein said that if Ark wanted to say goodbye to someone, he could change the laziness of leaving. But Ark answered him that if he saw them, the farewell would be very painful. And it wasn't just Grandpa. He also didn't want to say goodbye to Mill and Lyra. He won't forgive himself if they get hurt just because they got involved with him. After some time, Ark and Ein came to the exit of the village. Ein asked if he regretted anything, because if he left the village now, he would not be able to return soon. But Ark stood his ground and had already decided to leave the village. Suddenly, he heard a familiar voice. It was his grandfather. As always, he brought him bread for the road. He noticed that Ark was upset and said that they would always wait for him here. In fact, he found out quite by accident that Ark was leaving and therefore decided to bake bread. Ark apologized for deciding to leave them so suddenly, but his grandfather only told him to smile more. He believed that since Ark had decided to leave, there must be a good reason for it. He is also an adventurer whom his grandfather has been watching from the very beginning, and at least as a farewell, he wanted to see Ark smile. Ark was so touched that he almost burst into tears, but after that he smiled, said goodbye to his grandfather, and began to leave. Ein said that grandfather is a very good man. When Ark bit into the bread, Ark was touched. He had never eaten such delicious bread before. Now they could safely set off on their way. and first they needed to go to the city where the guild was located. They headed to the southern headquarters of the Durham adventurers. Now that Ark has left his village, an even more difficult journey awaits him, one for which he is fully prepared. On the way they saw goblins who attacked the cart. Ark asked to leave them with him. He wanted to increase his level before coming to the city. In just a second, all the goblins were killed. Ein looked at Ark and couldn't wait for him to show his true power. Their next stop will now be the southern city of Durham. The city was quite large and was located in the middle of the desert. It is approximately northeast of the village of Rakura. The atmosphere of the city was radically different from the village of Arka. This was not surprising after all. Durham is one of the largest cities on the continent, and in its very center is the southern branch of the Central Council of the Adventurers Guild. There are many headquarters on the continent, which are home to many talented adventurers. Durham is home to many talented adventurers like Ark. He won't stand out much against their background, unless, of course, he raises his level again. But for now, Ark was level 110, and this shouldn't arouse any suspicions. And Ark understood that he shouldn't increase his level too much unless he had to. The level he raised on the way to Durham is quite enough to not stand out from the crowd. Ein also thought that Ark shouldn't stand out too much. After all, if its level differs greatly, it will cause unnecessary attention and problems. If he is level 300, he might be considered a disaster rank adventurer. And if that happens, he will definitely attract the attention of adventurers like Baldar. And also if someone finds out that he defeated Baldar, real chaos could break out. Ein heard that there were many abnormal people among the Calamity rank adventurers, so it was best not to attract the attention of strange individuals. Adventurers should stick together and not measure their strength, but not everyone understands this. They are adventurers, and must protect and maintain the peace of peaceful citizens. Ark admired Ein even more for how talented an adventurer he was. Many people only care about fame and money, and Baldar was the same. Ark really wanted to become an adventurer like Ein. The fact that he has a high level doesn't mean anything. He must match that power and use it wisely. Putting all thoughts aside, he asked Ein where they were going. They talked so much that Ein didn't even tell Ark anything. Now they need to report on the Destroyer of Worlds, so first they will go to headquarters. When Ein's expression suddenly changed, Ark decided not to ask anything. The guild was packed with people as always. Ein told the girl working at the guild that he had transmitted the mission report to the communicator. She asked him to say the name of the completed mission. But after hearing about the incident in Rakura village, about the attack of the Destroyer of Worlds, everyone in the guild fell silent. The girl was speechless from what she heard. After this, she left without saying anything and returned with a bag of gold. Since all the party members died, the entire mission reward goes to Ein. Hearing this, Ein was already in complete shock, and it was not about money at all. Now Ark understood why Ein had been so downcast the whole way. He feels guilty for being the only survivor of that massacre, and it torments him. The girl sympathized with Ein and he left. Ein asked Ark what they would think of him now, as the leader of the squad who returned alone. Rumors about this were spreading much faster than he thought. But what he feared more was not his reputation. He didn't want his problems to affect Ark as well. He understood that the wrath of the people would fall upon him. Many of them lost children, friends, and relatives. He was obliged to meet them and talk, and also accept their anger and rage. It was because of his mistake that everyone died, and no matter how sad he is, it does not change the fact of his guilt. As Ein expected, before he could even arrive, a barrage of insults fell upon him. Ein came closer and said that he took full responsibility. He failed to save a single member of the group from death. They all died because of his mistakes. Suddenly, someone from the crowd started shouting that no matter how much he regretted it, it wouldn't change anything. Suddenly, Ark realized that no one knew what kind of monster they had encountered. Instead of a dragon, there was a destroyer of worlds, but people were not told this. Ark tried to convey this to them, but Ein stopped him. He was grateful to him for his help, but he deals with his problems on his own. If he had ordered the evacuation of the villagers then, he could have avoided their deaths. But almost all his words fell on deaf ears. Some even believed that he decided to condemn them to death for the sake of reward. People just didn't want to listen. They were too angry. At this point, Ark finally entered the conversation and said that Ein would never have done such a thing. He was immediately told to shut up and not make excuses for Ein. However, this angered him, and Ark said that the two of them fought the Destroyer of Worlds. The crowd fell silent for a second, and then gathered to go to the guild to find out everything. The man told him not to lie and decided to test his level. And he was very surprised to see that it was the same as his. But how did he survive against a level 300 monster with that level? Ark said there were reasons for this. Then the man couldn't hold back and started laughing. And then I told him to get out of here, but Ark was already fed up with this, and their conflict escalated into a fight. The next second, their blades clashed. Ein asked Ark to stop, but it was too late. Ark couldn't stand to hear everyone blaming Ein, who wasn't to blame. Ein himself admitted that he was a terrible leader, but Ark disagreed. However, Ark thought completely differently. Yes, all his comrades died, and that is a fact. But no one could have predicted such an outcome of events. Ein was with his comrades until the very end, and even in the face of death, he did not run away or abandon them. The next second, Aru knocked the sword out of his opponent's hands, and then he looked at Ein and said that anyone who wanted to fake the death of their comrades would never mourn them. That's why Ein isn't a bad leader at all. If he wants to take responsibility for the death of his comrades, then Ark will not object. But this is wrong, because nothing depended on him. That's why he tries to protect Ein from such thoughts. Despite the situation, he was with everyone until the end and avenged their deaths. Ein looked at him and asked why he was helping him. Ark extended his hand to him and replied that he saw in him the ideal adventurer he aspired to be. That was the whole reason. While Ark was lifting Ein, the man could not come to terms with his defeat. He took out a dagger and rushed at Ark. But out of nowhere, an elderly man appeared. He looked at Ein but said nothing. Ark immediately felt a very strong aura, who he was, and told Ark to lower his sword. This man is his colleague, the Supreme Adventurer of the Sword of Salvation Guild, Mr. Jirei, level 200 Adventurer. Jirei looked at Ark and said that he had already heard about him. After all, it was he who saved Ein in the battle against the Destroyer of Worlds. When he said this, the crowd began to talk. Jirei also said that he knew about their meeting with Baldar. Ark was surprised that Jirei knew him too. Ein said that it was he who reported everything. Ark saved the entire village from destruction. Jirei said that he was on an expedition, and therefore could not come to help. As soon as he found out everything, he immediately went to Durham. And now that he's back, some bunch of idiots are blaming Ein for the deaths of their comrades. Moreover, they didn't even know the whole situation, but immediately drew conclusions. He understood very well the pain of the families and friends of the victims. But no words will bring them back to life. Instead, they must maintain the peace and quiet of the citizens. And every time they take risks for the benefit of others, they knew very well what they were getting into when they became adventurers. What they are doing is shifting responsibility. Jirei was able to quickly calm everyone down. Jirei assumed that this was the end of it. Ark asked if this Jirei was a good man. Ein told him not to doubt it, but there was one thing. He is quite a stern man. At that moment, Jirei turned around and told Ein that he was kicking him out of the guild. Although he resolved this misunderstanding, this does not in any way justify his incompetence. A leader who condemns a team to death sounds terrible. That's why he can't leave him in one of the strongest guilds in Durham. Ark was surprised that this guild was so cool, but he didn't understand why Aina was being kicked out, and was not against it, but he had a request. He asked if they would accept Ark into their guild. If he can find allies, he will be of great benefit. Even though he was kicked out, Ark has everything it takes to become a first-class adventurer. Jirei had just started to speak when Ark interrupted him. He refused to join there. He doesn't want to be in a guild that abandons its own comrades. Ein tried to calm him down, but Ark stood his ground. Ein didn't understand this, because Ark himself wanted to help others. Ark said that if a guild was needed, he would create it himself. With his own hands, he will build it from scratch. After some time, he and Ein found a room. The building was very old, but there was no other choice. This is where a new story begins, one that Ark and Ein will write themselves. This building is their immediate base. Ein was incredibly grateful to Ark for the opportunity to create a guild. There was no turning back, and they had a huge amount of work ahead of them. Ein thanked Ark again for everything. Ark announced the creation of his guild immediately after Ein's expulsion, and now he has become its first participant. But they still had a lot to learn. But Ark was completely prepared for this, even though they got first base. But it will have to be rebuilt from scratch. They are not an official guild yet, and they don't have much money. I had to give up most of it to buy the building. The reward for the Destroyer of Worlds was enormous. He thought this money would be enough, but he miscalculated quite badly. This building needed an urgent general cleaning. Now Ark was very happy and he liked it. But then guests came to their building. They opened the doors and Ark saw Mill and Lyra. They were very angry with Ark, at least because he didn't tell them anything before leaving. An urgent message was announced throughout the city. All free adventurers must go to the Western Gate. A huge monster appeared right next to them. It has already managed to kill many soldiers. The people near the walls were terrified. Where did such a big monster come from? Mill and Lyra continued to question Ark at this time. They were waiting for an explanation about his departure. Ark didn't know what to answer when suddenly there was a knock on the door. The guy ran and alerted everyone about the attack. Ein understood everything at once, and they headed towards the gate. Ark said that he would tell the reason why he left later. In the meantime, they must wait for him here. After that, he called Ein and they left. This was their first mission as a new guild. The monster continued to rage and attack the city. The adventurers could do almost nothing to him. Even ordinary skeletons caused problems. They advanced without stopping. If this continues, the monster will enter the city. Suddenly everyone froze in place. It was the monster's special ability. The soldiers' bodies became weak and they simply could not move. This attack did no harm. It was a desert curse spell. It was slowly killing the man. It all started with severe weakness and ended in death. Ark and Ein arrived just in time. Ark killed skeletons and reached level 250. Now, while Ein was dealing with the skeletons, Ark could go after the monster. The battle should have been difficult, but Ark was superior to the monster in level. Ark heard about the curse for the first time, but already understood everything. Ark did not hesitate and attacked first. He enjoyed being back at a high level, which would allow him to kill the monster without any problem. At the other gate was Jirei, and there was exactly the same situation there. Jirei and the monster began to fight. The monster was about to attack, but Jirei couldn't be penetrated by it. He admitted that the monster was strong, but unfortunately he will kill him now. He told the monster that his life was about to end. At the other gate, Ark continued to fight with him. With one blow he inflicted a severe wound on the monster, after which he continued to attack the skeletons. He grew stronger, but the monster seemed weaker and weaker to him. The skeletons attacked without stopping. Ark was almost level 300 and was at peace with his life. The monster tried to attack, but Ark constantly dodged. Suddenly the monster used its attack, but Ark had everything under control. Ark used one of his new skills. Now no ball will hit it. Ark struck quickly and accurately. The monster underestimated him and paid for it. Ark took revenge for everyone the monster had cursed. After that, he raised his sword to finish off the monster. Suddenly he came to his senses. A huge number of balloons rose into the sky, after which they all headed to the city. Ark couldn't foresee this and it was very bad. Now we need to save the residents as quickly as possible. People didn't understand what was flying towards them. Now Ark was the strongest in the world. He had reached level 500. Ein understood that everything was bad, but he didn't know what to do. It wasn't the monster itself that was dangerous, but its curse. You can't just get rid of him. Ark asked if there were anyone in the city who could remove the curse. Ein replied that magicians do this, but there are only 3 of them at that level. Ark couldn't even imagine that in such a big city there would be only 3 powerful wizards, and they were the only ones who could cope with this curse. And it seems they arrived just in time. The curse placed on everyone was very strong, but there was a chance to save them. The wizards worked very quickly, but it was not enough. The most powerful sorceress in the city was Mina. She was from the Sword of Salvation Guild. There were 3 wizards, but hundreds of times more victims. At this rate, they won't be able to save everyone, and part of the city's population will be killed. Even for Mina, such a curse was very strong. She could dispel it, but it took too much time. Not only her comrades suffered, but also the city's residents, whom she also wanted to save. At this time, Ark already had his own plan. He didn't want to stand out too much, so as not to bring his meeting with the disaster rank adventurers closer. But he also had a reason why he couldn't leave everyone else in the lurch. Ark bought a new skill that fired a healing bullet and removed any curses. Ein said that Ark is doing everything right. The most important thing now is to protect people. If so, Ark may not hold back. Mina couldn't believe that Ark had lifted the curse on so many adventurers so quickly. She looked at him and asked who he was anyway. Ark didn't answer her because there was no time for talking. There's a curse raging in Durham right now, and people need to be rescued as quickly as possible. Mina could not abandon the city's inhabitants and went after Ark. After all, she is one of the strongest wizards in the guild, and it is her duty to protect people. In the city, everything looked even worse than on the street. The curse has already consumed all the city's inhabitants. Time was short, and action had to be taken as quickly as possible. Because of Ark's mistake, people suffered, and now he will save each of them. It's time to use the Heavenly Blessing skill. At this time, Jirei dealt with the monster outside. Looking towards the city, he couldn't even say anything. While he was fighting, the monster wasted no time and devoured the entire city. Ark ran around the city and removed curses from people. Despite its enormous speed, it wasted too much time. Mina was still amazed at how Ark had completely erased all traces of the curse. It was just amazing. Only the number of victims is too great. No matter how hard Ark tries, he is unlikely to be able to save everyone. Ark himself understood this, so he simultaneously came up with a plan. The most obvious thing was to ask the armor if there was a skill that could increase the radius of this skill. While he was looking for an answer, he was saving people manually. Suddenly he was offered to buy the skill of territorial expansion. Ark bought it without hesitation, and also acquired the Seraphim Wings skill. It was one of the types of holy magic. He used purification and made a radius for the entire city. A huge wave of light rose upward. All the people affected by the curse came to their senses. The entire city was filled with a magical golden light. Mina looked at this, and couldn't believe that Ark could use holy magic. She asked him if he was really an ordinary adventurer and not a saint. Ark replied that, unfortunately, he was not a saint, but he would do everything possible to save Durham. Afterwards, he turned to Ein. He urgently needed advice. Ark realized that he seemed to have gone a bit overboard. He wanted to save the inhabitants, but completely forgot that he was hiding his power. If everyone realizes it's him, disaster rank adventurers will definitely show up here. And then Ein proposed the idea of blaming all the exploits on Maine. It took only a little time for the city to be completely restored from the curse. People discussed everything that had happened and speculated about who had been their savior. Mina came out of the building and all attention was focused on her. People immediately decided that it was she who saved Durham from the terrible curse. They nicknamed her the Divine Heroine. After some time, she was invited to the central headquarters of the Adventurers Guild. As she was leaving, she saw Ark and said that she had done everything as he asked. Ark thanked her. It was very important to him. In the end, everything ended well. He did not become a hero and did not attract attention. And all the feats were attributed to Mina. After all, she is one of the strongest mages in the guild. All that remains is to write a detailed report of what happened. Mina thanked Ark for saving the city. He may feel that she repaid him for this by taking everything upon herself. Ein said that the title the villagers gave her suited her very well. The main thing is not to show it and to believe it yourself. The Divine Heroine gives the townspeople confidence that, no matter what misfortune awaits them, they will always be protected. Ark is completely unsuitable for this role. Therefore, it is she who is destined to play this responsible role. Ark asked if it would definitely work, but Ein had no doubts. Because with Ark's abilities, they'll make Mina a living legend in Durham. Mina didn't expect this, but Ein simply took her hand and led her outside. He wanted Ark to impart holy powers to her. If they want to maintain her status, they need to impart this very divinity to her. Mina didn't understand at all how they were going to do this. Ark said that it was completely safe for her, and everything would be fine. But if she didn't want it, then of course he would understand. But Mina agreed, because before her eyes, Ark was saving people that she should have been dealing with. Ark thanked her again and began to carry out Ein's plan. He loaded the holy bullet to give to Maine. He didn't hold back, and a tremendous amount of power began to flow through her. Afterwards, while the divine light was in effect, Mina came out to the residents, who immediately began to thank her. Ein had a bit of a hard time controlling his new skill, and he never really learned how to use it. After that, he asked Ein if he was enjoying this whole absurd situation, but Ein remained silent. People found their hero, and that was the main thing. Ark stood out too much today. He should be more careful next time. Suddenly, Mr. Geary came to them. He looked at Ark very angrily and called him for a few words. Ark was very scared. Did Jirei really understand everything? Jirei said not to take him for an idiot, because he already knows everything. He knew from the start that he was the real hero who saved Durham. Ark stood up and asked how he guessed. He didn't answer, only said that he wasn't going to condemn their methods. Still, people need a hero they can always rely on. However, they were seen by other adventurers who fought them at the Western Gate. After all, not only adventurers from their guild took part in that battle. Now Ein understood what exactly was troubling Jirei. But Jirei immediately rejected this. He didn't care how many adventurers saw Ark, and he wasn't going to scold him for it. But then, what did he want to talk to them about? Jirei asked if they knew what happened at the Eastern Gate during the attack. The incident with the Eastern Gate was quickly hushed up, since only adventurers from their guild were there. Jirei said that a horde of damned monsters had gathered at the Western Gate. But for the Easterners, everything was exactly the same. This attack was carefully planned. Ark asked if anyone was hurt at the East Gate. Jirei replied that he had arrived in time and destroyed all the monsters, so everyone remained unharmed. Ark expected nothing less from the supreme adventurer of one of the most powerful guilds on the continent. Jirei continued to say that now they have a much more serious problem. The attack was organized from two sides simultaneously. Monsters are not capable of thinking like that, which means this attack was planned by man. At first, Ark didn't believe what Jirei said. Ein, too, hadn't seen such monsters in Durham for a very long time. He also questioned the group of adventurers, but they themselves did not recall such attacks. In other words, someone summoned these monsters on purpose. If a person had a special skill or magic, he could very well summon such monsters. In this case, they need to strengthen the city's defenses. This is exactly what he wanted to talk about in the first place. He wanted Ark to create his own guild as soon as possible, and fought side by side with the guild's Sword of Salvation. Ein said that they still had a lot of paperwork to fill out, and there was no way to speed up the process. But Jirei promised to help. He would be able to negotiate with the central administration. In return, Ark must promise him two things. Firstly, he will maintain cooperative relations between our guilds, as its direct founder. And secondly, he will personally evaluate his skills in a training fight in order to ensure his competence. Ark agreed without hesitation. All the conditions suited him completely. Jirei liked Ark's attitude, and they moved to the training ground. Jirei wants to see everything that Ark is capable of, as well as show off his strength. This is only possible in combat with real weapons, so Ark can use absolutely everything. Jirei got into a fighting stance and prepared for battle. Ark did the same and decided to show everything he was capable of from the very beginning. They stood and waited for Ain's signal, after which the battle would begin. As soon as Ain announced the start, Jireh rushed into the attack. He really hoped that Ark would survive the fight against his sword. Although with difficulty, Ark parried Jireh's first blow. After all, Jireh's level was twice as high as Ark's. His victory in this sparring match was doomed from the start. And Jireh also understands this. With such a difference in levels, Arku cannot be defeated. But in this fight, his task is not to win, but to prove himself completely. Now Ark was attacking Jireh. Their swords clashed. Ark felt the intense pressure, but he didn't give in. He immediately used the Seraph Wings. After which he continued to put pressure on Jireh, without retreating an inch. Jireh only repelled the attacks, waiting for the moment to strike. Suddenly Ark disappeared, as if he had never been there. He distracted Jireh and jumped up, catching him by surprise. Even though the difference in levels was big, he would never give up. Ain watched everything and was amazed that Ark was able to attack and even put pressure on Jireh. Ark's combat skills as an adventurer have greatly increased. He has become much stronger, even though not much time has passed since their meeting. Ark stopped. This is the maximum he is capable of at the moment. Jireh was in complete shock and did not expect such a powerful attack. If it weren't for the difference in their levels, he would have definitely died from such a direct hit. He really enjoyed their fight and was convinced of Ark's excellent skills. But now they are moving on to the next part of the battle. Now Ark will be on the defensive. Judging by the look in Jireh's eyes, things are going to be very tough for Ark now. He saw some very murderous mood in Jireh's eyes. Ain was horrified because he realized that he wanted to use Jireh against Ark. Legendary skill Demonic Advent. No one has ever survived after Jireh used it. Now it was not just a fight but a battle for survival. Ark understood what skill Jireh used, but what was his strength? Ain shouted at him to be very careful. This skill doubles the owner's level for 15 seconds. That is, Mr. Jireh's level was now 400th. An incredibly strong and frightening aura emanated from him. Even though it will only last 15 seconds, you still have to try to survive them. Jireh was never disappointed in Ark. And now he wants Ark to entertain him properly. Jireh hasn't used it or fought at full strength for a very long time. The very first blow was so powerful that Ark's vision went dark. He broke through the wall of the building and flew out into the street. He needed to survive another 10 seconds. Time passed quickly, but Jireh had already jumped out the window to get Ark. Ark's mind was slowly leaving him. Had he really lost? Falling down, he saw Mill and Lyra. He only remembered how those two burst into his guild and pounced on him with a ton of questions. He also saw Mina, to whom he never said goodbye after meeting with Jireh. And then he remembered everything, and why he came here, and why he wanted to protect people so much. Opening his eyes, he saw Jireh flying towards him at full speed. Jireh was very happy about this battle. Finally, he could use all his strength. But Ark's chance of winning was 0. He admitted that he was still far from Jireh's skill, and that he lost this battle. But he will never die. To survive, he used the skill to explode the sword. This helped him dodge Jireh's deadly attack. Ark needed to find another weapon. He was going to do the same to escape. The armor found the required skill, and Ark immediately bought it. Now he had swords in both his hands. But as soon as Jireh approached, Ark fainted. He should have rested. 15 seconds had already passed. Suddenly Ark opened his eyes, and at first did not understand where he was. Looking around, he realized that he was at his guild's base. Lyra ran up to him immediately after he woke up. She and Mill were out shopping for groceries when she saw Ark fall from the top of the tower. She was very scared then, but now she is glad that he finally woke up. Mill was also worried about Ark, but she didn't show it as much. Mina said that their battle had damaged the guild building, and they should have been more careful. Ark apologized for making everyone worry, and then he asked if he passed the test. Suddenly Jireh entered the room and said that Ark had dealt with everything. 15 seconds had already passed before he lost consciousness. Jireh put all his skill and determination into this time, and Ark is the first adventurer to survive with minor injuries. After this, Jireh was about to leave, but Ain reminded him of something. Jireh turned to Ark and said that he had acted very immaturely by using his legendary skill, and he is very sorry that Ark suffered because of his emotions. He wanted Ark to help him defend the city, but in the end he almost killed him himself. After that, he apologized again. Before leaving, he once again reminded that Ark had passed the first part of the test, and as soon as he is rested, he can begin the second one. He needed to clear one of the dungeons. Jireh warned that it could be very dangerous there. Situated east of Durham, adventurers have nicknamed it the Old Witch's Workshop. Mina had heard a lot about this dungeon. A powerful witch used to live there, but after her death, monsters settled there. Due to the anomalies, they became very aggressive, and many merchants passing by were attacked. However, the source of all the anomalies could not be determined. The only thing they could understand was that there was a monster behind everything, whose level was no lower than 300. This is even more than the desert curses. These ruins themselves are dangerous. No adventurer had ever reached the depths. But Jirei was confident that Ark would succeed. He needed to explore the ruins and destroy the monster that was causing all these anomalies. Jirei asked again if Ark agreed, and he didn't really have a choice, so he agreed. At this time, the same monster was most likely sitting in the dungeon. Somehow he learned that people were going to attack his ruins, and he was going to kill every single one of them. The desert east of Durham seemed endless. Ark and his team finally reached the dungeon. They stood right next to the entrance to the old witch's workshop. Once they move forward, there is no turning back. Mill also went with them. Ark asked her again if she was sure about this or not, but she had already made up her mind and was not going to back down. To help Ark in her adventures, she received a novice adventurer's license. She knew the reason why Ark left the village. Ain told them everything while Ark was resting from the battle with Jirei. She said that Ark is the kindest person she knows. In order not to harm the villagers, he decided to leave it. She wanted to become as strong as he was. The guild also told her that she had an innate epic skill, and she wasn't worried at all, because she knew that if anything happened, Ark would protect her. He didn't argue any further, since it was time for them to go. One after another, they carefully descended the stairs. On the first floor, they didn't notice anything at all, but Mina felt a huge magical energy. Therefore, before the source of this energy appears, Ark must be pumped up to the maximum. He was currently only level 10, so it would be difficult for him to face almost any monster. Ain thought they should have raised Ark's level on the way here, but because of the battle with the desert curse, all the local monsters hid in their lairs. Finally, the first monster, a level 50 Iron Warrior, came out to them. These monsters are very good for leveling up. Ain and Mina will weaken him, and Ark will deliver the finishing blow. The monster attacked first, and it was very unexpected. Ark was afraid for his comrades, but it seems he shouldn't have worried. After all, they are one of the best in Durham, and they won't stand on ceremony with such an opponent. Mina held him back with magic, and when the monster was exhausted, Ark came closer to attack. And it was at that moment that the monster suddenly transformed. If Ark doesn't dodge now, he'll just crush him. Mill, seeing that Ark was in danger, immediately rushed to his aid. To save him, she used her skill, Lightning Strike. She stopped the monster's attack, but was caught in the shockwave. Ark thanked her, because otherwise he would have definitely died. Ark didn't expect the monster to transform at the last moment, causing him to lose his guard. The monster rushed to attack again, but now Ark was ready for anything. The monster's head was very large, making it difficult for him to hit Ark. But due to the difference in attack level, the Ark did not deal any damage. Mina said that there must be a core underneath its metal body. Now all that remains is to figure out how to get to it. And Ain already had a plan. They would simply destroy the hull by force. And the final blow will be dealt by Ark to increase the level. Mina distracted the monster with magic. As soon as the monster was distracted by Mina, Ain ran up from behind. Grabbing the crack in the casing with his hands, he easily broke it. While the monster was disoriented, Ark had to attack. Running up, he thrust his sword straight into the core. The monster was finally defeated. Ark has finally started leveling up. Now he was already level 60, and if he killed a few more monsters, he would quickly return to his previous level. Mina once again reminded that the weak point of these monsters is the core. It is this core that allows them to function. In themselves, they are just puppets that obey the will of their master. As soon as they killed the first monster, a new batch came out of the cave. Their level was the same, so Ark would deal with them without any problems. As soon as he killed the first one, the second monster already started swinging. Ark took the second sword in his hands and stopped the blow. This time his trick won't work. With each monster killed, Ark felt it become easier and easier. He killed them one by one, leveling up and becoming stronger. After some time, he reached level 160th. Suddenly he saw many fireballs flying in the sky. Mina came to his aid and put up a barrier. It was too early to relax. The monsters kept appearing and appearing. The main thing now is to survive. The attacks grew stronger, but Mina held them back. Although the level here is quite low, the monsters are much stronger due to the anomaly. There was already a whole army of them lined up and something had to be done about it. Their only goal was to destroy the enemies. Ain shouted to everyone that they needed to leave and showed them the way. They turned and started running away. Suddenly, Ark noticed that Mill was tired and stopped. He ran towards the monsters and told her to run forward. He used the seraph wings again and drew his blade. Having become stronger, the monsters no longer posed much of a threat to him. Even if there are more of them, it doesn't mean that they will succeed. Ark saw one of them start to attack. Ark didn't expect such an attack, but now he's in no danger. As soon as the monster fired, Ark easily dodged and ran around the corner. The next attack came right next to him. Once his cover was destroyed, he ran on, thinking about a plan. He ran up to Ain and asked why they had stopped. The monsters will be coming soon, and if they don't hurry, a battle is inevitable. Ain said that they have one problem now. They have absolutely nowhere to run. While they were thinking, the monsters had already begun to attack, but Mina managed to put up a shield. A whole crowd began to enter the room and surround them. Mina was holding on with all her might, but soon she would no longer be able to hold the shield. There were too many monsters, and they attacked continuously. Nobody knew what to do or how to get out of here. Suddenly, the place where they were standing began to glow. Ark didn't understand what it was because he had never seen anything like it. But Mina understood everything. It was a teleportation spell. It destroyed the floor beneath their feet and they began to fall. Ark tried to understand who did this and why. The only thing that was clear was that everything was set up and now they were trapped. But that wasn't all. The monsters also jumped after them. Fighting while in flight was even more difficult. All the attacks were directed at Ark and the others. There was no way for them to dodge. Suddenly, Ein told Ark to extend his right hand to him. Then he turned to Mina and told her to push him with wind magic. Mina immediately understood what Ein wanted to do. Flying up, he grabbed Ark by the hand and pushed him towards the monsters. Ark easily dealt with the first enemies. After that, he flew even higher, and he destroyed the rest in the same way. There was a huge explosion. After the kill, Ark started gaining levels. Now he was already level 360th. Suddenly, Mill reminded everyone that they were still falling. But Mina took everything upon herself. There was no need to worry about falling. Just before falling, she used wind magic to soften her landing. However, another explosion followed. It was Ark. His level had increased very sharply, and so far he couldn't control his power. But now they don't have to worry about pumping it up. But what is this place where they fell? Once the dust settled, they realized they were in some kind of library. The witch was already waiting for them there. The only thing she kept repeating was that she would kill everyone and no one would get out of here. Ark came closer and realized that she too was a mechanical doll. Ein told everyone to be on guard, because this is not just a doll. The next moment the witch became furious. They took off their clothes, under which their hands were hidden. It was clear that all the anomalies were happening because of her. But they didn't know how to win, because her level was 400. In the past, she was quite a kind witch. Fate presented her with a child, whom she, an old hermit, had to raise. But she thought she was not capable of this. Throughout her life. She had never learned to live among ordinary people. Having cast aside everything human, she followed only one path. The parents abandoned the poor child, but she was afraid to take responsibility. What kind of child might grow up if raised by an old hermit witch? Her name was Belgadia, and she finally decided to take the child in. She named him Merim. Merim is the name of a spell that makes a person happy. But now she no longer looked like that sweet old lady. All she wanted was to kill everyone who came to her house. As soon as Ark tried to attack, she hid behind a wall of fire. And after that, she delivered a quick blow, which Ark dodged with difficulty. Each of her hands was capable of using different magic at the same time. She jumped up and attacked Ark with a rain of daggers. Everyone ran up to Mina, who was already putting up a shield. Suddenly, the witch released a monster that looked like a huge worm. He destroyed Mina's shield very easily. Immediately after this, the witch began to attack. Ark said that her arms needed to be torn off so that she wouldn't be able to do magic. But before they could do anything, they were crushed by the witch's sword. Suddenly, the witch began to ask herself why she was killing. As a mage, Mina was amazed. It was the first time she had seen someone use different magic at the same time. Ein said he couldn't understand where this monster came from. A powerful witch who also used various magic had been able to do this for a long time. Could she have found a way to live in these ruins forever? If this is so, then this is not a doll at all. This is the soul of an old witch trapped in a new body. But who could imprison such a powerful witch in another body? It's probably someone much stronger than their current enemy. In life, this witch, although a hermit, did not harm anyone. Why has she become so aggressive now? Why did she only wish death on everyone? They didn't know the answer to these questions. But apparently this tormented the witch herself. After all, she was constantly struggling with herself and did not understand why she was killing people. But whatever she was before, she's still damn dangerous now. 18 years ago, she lived in a simple house in the forest. She could already walk with difficulty, but Merim had already managed to grow up. He was constantly fiddling with dolls and creating them every day. He didn't have the same power as Belgadia, but he wanted to achieve her mastery. She always told him that when the time came, he would become much stronger than she was. He had no talent for magic, but he was very good at understanding mechanisms. He believed that one day his dolls would be able to surpass Belgadia. She didn't forbid him anything, because it was his life, and he had the right to live it the way he wanted. 10 years ago, a tragedy occurred, and Belgadia became very ill. She understood that she did not have long to live and was completely prepared for this. But Merim couldn't come to terms with this, because he hadn't yet created a doll that could compare in strength to Belgadia. He still had a little time left to create a real masterpiece. He begged Belgadia not to leave him. She asked him not to cry, and said that he would definitely finish his creation, because he had dedicated his whole life to it. The battle continued, and there was a feeling that the witch was only getting stronger. At some point, he came very close to Mill. The next moment she attacked, but Ark managed to cover her, exposing himself to the blow. The impact was so strong that Arka and Mill were thrown back several meters. Mina started to go to help Ark, but Ein stopped her. At that moment, a wall appeared in front of her, and the next moment, a witch's hand came out of it. It all happened so quickly that neither Ein nor Mina had time to react. As soon as Ein looked away from Mina, the witch was already near him, and it was impossible to dodge. Many quick and powerful blows followed. She was too fast and her hands didn't stop for a second. But Ein can't dodge forever either. Something needs to be done. As soon as he thought about it, he immediately missed one blow, which was enough to put him out of action. Ark woke up and immediately realized that at this rate, they would all be killed here. He had no choice but to stand up and fight. Their battle began again, only now Ark had even more determination. He was finally able to land the first blow, but his joy disappeared immediately. No matter how much he tried, it was all useless. Not a single attack was effective. But how can you defeat her if she cannot be wounded? Suddenly, Ark noticed that the doll was doing something strange and stepped back. He realized that no matter what happened to the doll's body, it would not prevent her from fighting. Even though she was completely engulfed in flames, she continued to fight. There was no way Ark could drag out this fight. She's just a regular mechanical doll and should be powered by a magical core. But Ark tried to think about how to get to him, while simultaneously dodging attacks. If she continues like this, then he simply won't be able to get close to her. Suddenly he saw more dolls falling from above. Immediately their gaze was drawn to him. Now he was their target. But for Ark it was great. He would be able to raise his level even more. Without thinking, he rushed towards them with his current level. They posed no danger. Ark killed the monsters and was now level 560th. Ark asked the armor for a skill that would restrict the enemy's movement. Just when the witch was ready to attack, the necessary skill was found. It was legendary, called the Royal Order, and cost 150 levels. After the purchase, Ark's level was still higher, so he acted much more confidently. He told the witch that it was all over and used the royal command. At that very moment, the witch was pierced by dozens of spears so that she could not move. 10 years ago, Merim finally succeeded. He tried for a very long time to transplant Belgadia's soul into a doll, but nothing worked. Suddenly, a man helped him by telling him about forbidden magic with which he could bring his master back to life. By placing her soul into a doll, he believed that she would live as long as he lived. Even though he couldn't be there, it was a small price to pay for everything she did for him. As soon as he left, the doll automatically turned on, and her soul will remain in it forever. He really hoped that she would live a good life for both of them. Suddenly, the witch was able to escape from Ark's skill. Then he used it again and chained her to the ground again. She got out again and again, but he stopped her again and again. She struggled, because she felt that she had to kill the intruder. But she constantly wondered why she needed to do this. Ark didn't understand why she was still asking herself this question. She still didn't understand whether killing people was really her goal. Could this really be why she continues to live in the body of this doll? During one of her attempts to escape, her arm was torn off. She rushed towards Ark anyway, but he stopped her again. She suddenly realized that the only thing she wanted was to protect her child. Ark came close to her and dealt dozens of quick and powerful blows. She could not withstand such pressure, and finally the witch was defeated. A blue glow emanated from her chest, something Ark had never seen before. Then it started flying away somewhere. Ark noticed that where it flew there was a secret door that he had not noticed before. As soon as he wanted to go there, hundreds of level units began to be absorbed by him. Ark was very happy. It was the first time he had defeated such a strong opponent. The counting began, and Ark was already level 810. But his joy did not last long. The next moment he felt very ill. He fell to the floor in pain and couldn't move. Is it because he absorbed so much level at once? The armor began to warn him that when absorbing a huge number of levels, the owner would experience physical pain. To save his life, he needed to buy the storage skill. The armor waited for confirmation, but Ark couldn't say anything. The purchase was rejected, and Ark remained silent, the hellish pain completely paralyzing him. This time, the armor took control for the first time, and without Ark's consent, acquired the storage, and moved 400 levels there. Hundreds of levels have been lost in Ark, and then they came back, but moved to the storage facility. Ark fell to the ground and was finally able to breathe freely. Only now did he realize that the armor had just saved his life. Ark remembered little because of the pain. Afterwards, he asked what the storage capacity was. The armor said that Ark can add or remove levels at will. That's why Ark's level didn't increase. Ark realized that this was very convenient, because as soon as he got to the city, he would be able to lower his level. Still, Ark needs to be careful with level absorption, otherwise he will simply lose his mind. The armor said that this was the first time Ark had absorbed such a level, and that it would probably not happen again in the future. As soon as everyone woke up, they immediately ran to Ark. Mill heard him scream, but he replied that everything was fine now. What was more important was that everyone ended up safe and sound. Suddenly Ark remembered something and told everyone. that after defeating the doll, a clot of light flew out of her body. In thought for a moment and asked what happened next. Ark pointed to the door and said that he flew there. Mill asked if they would go there or not, but she herself already understood that they didn't have much of a choice. Mina said that they needed to be careful, because if the witch's soul had not disappeared, danger might await them. Ark walked slowly towards the door, and everyone else followed him. Having made up his mind, he opened the door, and what was there greatly surprised him. There was a clearing with butterflies, behind which stood a house. What kind of place is this? They were just underground. Ayn assumed that this was a space created by the old witch's magic. Mina had never seen anything like this before. The old witch was indeed a very powerful sorceress. But where did the clot that Ark spoke of go? Suddenly, something jumped out of the roof of the house. Some kind of robot landed in front of them, but it was unclear whether it was dangerous or not. Ark immediately decided that now he would have to fight again. Suddenly, the robot told him to put away his weapon. The robot smiled and said that sharp things are not toys for children. Ark said that he himself was carrying a sword, but as it turned out, it was part of his hand. After that, the robot said that he had to thank them. As it turned out, it was Belgadia, and she thanked them for saving her wounded soul. Who would have thought that a witch like her would live so long? She revealed that the doll that Ark had defeated had contained her soul for many years in its body. Once they destroyed her, she woke up in a new body, and it was wonderful. Finally, no one suppresses her will and forces her to do anything. After the destruction of that doll, her soul found refuge in this old doll. Logically, she should have found peace and finally left this world. But a boy named Merim used a forbidden magical technique on her. Ark asked what kind of technology this was. She replied that it was a collection of spells that had been rejected by the sages and were forbidden to use. In the society of sorcerers, they are forbidden due to the dangerous consequences of their use. They were using technique number 95, which is called the soul seeking peace in another body. Because of her, no matter how hard they tried to destroy her body, her soul will always find another vessel to continue its existence. Mina suggested that they could disenchant her, but Belgadia immediately said that it was impossible. Her soul can only be stopped by the one who cast this technique. Even a powerful witch like her is unable to remove this technique. Whoever cast it knew she would try to escape, and did everything to prevent her from succeeding. Mina asked what had used this technique against her. She said that her student Merim did it. He could not cope with her death and wanted her to live forever. That is why this technique was forbidden, because it disrupts the natural course of things. The dead cannot be brought back to life. But in any case, she will deal with him herself and teach him a lesson. But the problem here lies somewhere else entirely. Merim was not smart enough to master this technique. He made a deal with a very powerful sorcerer. It was he who helped Merim, and in return took him into slavery so that he would create fighting dolls for him. This sorcerer's name was Fortin. As soon as she spoke about him, he appeared, as if someone had called him. He was always against those who rejected forbidden techniques. After all, with their help the whole world will be at your feet. That is why he teaches forbidden techniques to those who need them so much. And he doesn't see anything wrong with that. Belgadia was amazed. She never expected to meet him here and now. She was very angry that he dared to step on her territory. Belgadia ordered the dolls to kill this intruder. But as soon as they came out, Fortin immediately destroyed them. He smiled and said that now he would kill her. Belgadia was a little surprised, but she wasn't going to just let it go. She said that even if he killed her, because of the magical technique, she would still move to another body. He knew this very well, which is why he helped Merim cast this spell. Belgadia finally realized that only a caster could remove this technique, and it turns out that the only one who can kill her is Fortin. Fortin laughed, because she was completely right, and only he could free her. Once he destroys the body of this doll, Belgadia's soul will leave this world forever. But she didn't understand why he came now, because he could have done it at any moment. Fortin said he didn't really mean to kill her, but over the past 10 years the situation has changed dramatically. After all, right now he is on the verge of fulfilling his cherished dream. To achieve the desired result, he must make a great sacrifice. And to do this, he needs the entire southern capital of Durham. Everyone was shocked by what they heard. The only one who can stop him is Belgadia, which is why he came now. Ark asked if he was involved in that monster attack on Durham, and of course he agreed. Hearing this, Ark became furious. He finally found the one he had wanted to take revenge on for so long. Ark immediately attacked, but Fortin easily repelled his attack. Fortin was surprised by Ark's strength. Ark didn't know all the reasons, but they didn't interest him either. He wouldn't let him destroy an entire capital for his own desires, and so he will personally finish him off. Fortin was even stronger than Belgadia. His level was 500. And Ark really interested him. He hadn't seen adventurers of such a high level in their area for a long time. And dealing with him was not part of his original plans. But what luck that he was the one who ended up here. Now he can deal with two annoying elements at once. Ark couldn't withstand the pressure and started to lose. Fortin didn't take Ark seriously and said he would give him a quick death. Ein and Mina stood before him and told him not to forget about them. Fortin said that he was not prepared to fight so many people, after which he created a portal and was about to leave. Belgadia was outraged that he was running away like that, but he replied that he was not running away from them. He simply did not want to be late for the bloody celebration. And if they want to protect their city, he advises them to hurry. After all, at that very moment his subordinates had already begun to kill the residents of Durham. In the capital, everything was calm for now, as always, until Fortin got there. After all, this peaceful idyll will come to an end right now. The bloody celebration has just begun. Fortin sat on the tower and simply watched it all. Now all these people will become food for the new god of this world. Suddenly, Belgadia felt worse and fell to one knee. It seems that Fortin did modify the magical technique before leaving, but there is no need to worry about it. This meant that if her body broke down, then she will leave this world forever. But honestly, what difference does it make to her? She has already died once, so death is no longer scary to her. After being trapped in the doll's body, she was unable to leave the confines of her workshop. But now everything is different. She is free, and will finally be able to leave this place, because the new body is not subject to restrictions. But more important was what Fortin said before leaving. He plans to kill all the residents of Durham to achieve his dream. Fortin never minces words, so she doesn't think he's lying. They need to get back as soon as possible and stop Fortin from harming the residents. But they won't be able to reach the city on foot. Even if they tried, the city would already be in ruins by the time they arrived. Belgadia said that she had already been completely forgotten. Even Fortin feared her as his only equal. At this time, chaos had already begun in the city. People were killed one after another. Fortin's men roamed the city hunting for people. Lyra heard screams in the street and went out to look. When she came out, she saw that the sky was scarlet and there were almost no people. Turning around, she saw one of Fortin's men heading towards her. When he came closer, she could no longer run away. Lyra had already come to terms with the fact that she could no longer be saved. And as always, Ark came to her aid. With one blow, he eliminated the mercenary Fortin. Mina held the shield, covering Lyra and Mill. Fortin's minions were quite weak and posed a threat only to ordinary citizens. Belladia stood next to them and said that she could not go back to the workshop because Fortin had changed the spell. Ark thanked her for her help. Without her, they wouldn't have made it. She asked not to be called that. It was just a relic of the past. She asked to be called just a friend. Jure also protected the residents and at the same time looked for Ark and the others. He told everyone he saved to go to headquarters. There was shelter there. The enemies he encountered in the city were around level 80. Until today, he had never met anyone like them in Durham. Walking further through the city, he met Fortin himself. He told Jure that it was he who had arranged this bloody celebration. He really liked the way people cried from suffering, anger, and rage. These feelings make the blood boil in the veins. These evil feelings of people will serve as food for the new god of this world. This is what this bloody celebration that Fortin organized was like. Jire asked if he had sent the desert curses upon Durham. He said that he sent them to test the strength of their guild, but the results did not impress him, and he had already forgotten about them. However, because they protected the city, he will be able to feed them all to the new god. And thanks to them, the new god of this world will have his fill of human suffering. Jire looked calm, but inside he was seething. The next second, he used his legendary skill. Even with his use, his level was only 400. But this didn't bother him at all. He said he would force Fortin to lay down his arms. And it will only take him 15 seconds to do this. By this time, Ark approached him and took out 190 levels from the storage. Jire rushed towards Fortin, and Ark attacked with him. At this time, Ein was dealing with Fortin's minions. The rest of the guild members helped him. He was seething with rage. Killing people for the sake of some god was simply disgusting. And since it infuriates him so much, all that remains is to continue fighting. While almost the entire guild was busy clearing out the minions, Ark and Jire fought Fortin. After Ark became stronger, Fortin couldn't fight back so easily anymore. Jire attacked as soon as Ark retreated, and at that moment Fortin caught them. He used forbidden technique number 74. His henchmen lined up around him and protected him from all attacks. But if they kill them, he will still summon new ones. He was more concerned about the fact that Ark had leveled up so quickly. He still had to kill him in the workshop. Jire continued to attack, but to no avail. Fortin's forbidden technique was powerful. However, it takes a lot of energy, and therefore he cannot use it constantly. If so, now is the time to attack. They must get rid of him before he can activate his forbidden technique. They needed to strike together, and then he would definitely not be able to dodge. Fortin set up a barrier before the attack, but he couldn't withstand the pressure of 2 attacks at once. Fortin took this attack very hard. At that moment he lost. As long as Jire and Ark stand guard over the city, he is not destined to destroy it. He admitted that he had indeed underestimated them, and he especially underestimated Ark. But he made enough sacrifices to awaken the new god. But this is far from the end. The next moment, Fortin began his forbidden technique. The new god doesn't care who is sacrificed. He sacrificed his minions. Now they felt what the people they killed felt. Fortin promised them that their sacrifices would not be in vain. Although this is not enough, he will not be able to obtain new victims. Ark rushed towards him to stop him, but Fortin was able to dodge. The time had come for his plan. He began to read the forbidden spell. The blood of the murdered people began to rise into the air, and it all accumulated in the tip of his staff. If God needs his blood, he will give everything he can. Everything was ready. Fortin received the ripe fruit of suffering and human sorrow. Its name is Blood Crystal. Now no one in this city can stop him. With this bloody staff he will be able to complete the ritual. Now the world will meet a new god. Jirei noticed where the light was coming from. Fortin had no intention of performing the ritual here, and seemed to have guessed where he was headed. In the west of Durham there is a place with an abnormal amount of energy. The Palmyra Mausoleum. Jirei couldn't stop him. And right now, there is no one in the guild who is capable of resisting him. Besides Ark, he is the first person with such a high level that Jirei has known. If Ark can defeat Fortin, he will allow his guild to exist. He will personally negotiate with the central administration, and it will take care of everything else. Ark promised that he would definitely do it. Jirei also asked what their guild was called, but Ark hadn't thought about it yet. He did a lot for his friends. So Jirei had an idea of what name to give the guild. Ark's guild will be called Black Star of Hope. Merim sat in front of a large beast. He knew that adventurers were heading this way. Today, what Fortin has wanted for so long will come true. A new god will arrive on Earth very soon. He prepared absolutely everything for this. But he will need time, so until he finishes, Merim will hold everyone back. Fortin never once regretted choosing him. The ritual has begun. The carts were heading east. Ark's squad was ready for battle. Mill asked where Ark got the money for the cart and horses. He replied that their application for a guild had been approved, and that they were now being funded. Afterwards, he also said the name of the guild. He said that if someone doesn't like it, it's not their fault, but everyone liked the name. Suddenly, Mina called him Guildmaster and Ark beamed. Ayn reminded her that she was in another guild, but she replied that she could leave it. While they were talking, the cart arrived. This is the very mausoleum where Fortin is supposed to be. Belgadia said she could move them there. Although they were clearly expected here, there was a crowd of henchmen at the entrance. They began to destroy the carts that contained people from the Sword of Salvation Guild. It was necessary to help them as soon as possible, but Ayn told him to wait. They can handle it just fine on their own, and they should already be going inside. The operation to capture Fortin has begun. It was quite empty inside. There was also almost nothing in the main hall. Jirei said not to relax. Everything is still ahead. Suddenly the first enemies appeared. A crowd of henchmen attacked at once. Jirei gave the order the first detachment remains here, and the second follows him. This also applied to Ark. Without it, they shouldn't even go there. And there is no need to worry about the first squad. They are not the weakest in the city. The first squad continued to run along the empty corridor. Ayn said that they needed to hurry. If Fortin was to be believed, he was now calling upon a new god. And they don't have time to deal with the minions. So when the time comes, he will fight Fortin alone, and they take care of everyone else. As soon as this was said, minions appeared in front of them. They appeared from all sides. Jirei and Ark left everyone and went on together. Along the way, they encountered enemies, whom they easily dealt with. But because of the dark magic, Ark couldn't absorb their level.